What good folks, it's Darktry19 and welcome back to another What If Naruto Became Soldier Part 3. So like, comment, subscribe and share, but besides all that, enjoy the video. Chapter 5 Chunin Finals. The instant Gaara's name appeared on the board, he was on the arena floor anxious for a fight, with Rock Lee appearing across from the Suna boy seconds later while Naruto was in the middle of it. The blonde looked at both shinobi, as if sizing them up, and knew that this was going to be the meanest fight of them all. "Ready? Fight," said Naruto, as he brought his hand down and took one step back, with the space he had occupied being filled for a second by a cork flying from Gaara to Lee. "No need to be so hasty, Gaara-san. There is no time limit on this," said Lee, as he caught the cork and threw it to Naruto for him to hold. "Mother will enjoy having your blood," said Gaara, as he shot out his sand at Lee, who leapt away and dodged the attack that was coming at him. The fight shifted between offense and defense from the two boys, as Lee used his speed combined with taijutsu to get in close, and Gaara showed everyone why people couldn't get close to hitting him due to the sand he commanded. Eventually Guy told Lee to take off his leg weights, which Lee was reluctant to do, but obeyed nonetheless, and revealed that the boy had more than just a few pounds worth when the weights created craters upon impact with the ground. Then Lee's real potential began to show, which instantly surprised everyone watching the fight when the spandex-wearing boy moved faster than Gaara's sand could move, and hit the surprised Suna boy in the face. Tamari, Kankuro, and Baki were surprised that the strange boy with strange eyebrow was able to hit Gaara. It was almost blasphemous. It was impossible. And yet it was happening more than once before their very eyes. However, Gaara wasn't about to let this problem stop him, as he commanded his sand to swirl violently around him with such velocity that Rock Lee would actually be cut by the attack. And the boy was, as Lee was hit multiple times by the swirling sand-mixed wind, and skidded to a stop while bleeding from wounds on all four of his limbs. Very impressive, Gaara-san. However, I will not lose so easily, and will prove myself to Guy-sensei, said Lee, as he looked to the man, and saw Jounin nod his head to let his student do what needed to be done to win. It was then Naruto saw something quite impressive happen, and saw the true potential in Lee when he opened the first of the 8 inner gates. According to QB, the spandex boy was having his body's cellular level divide, and then multiplying from the high rate of mana the boy was generating in an almost unnatural way. Naruto understood the very principle behind the 8 inner gates upon learning of them, but was surprised by how many of them Lee could in fact open, and keep fighting Subaku no Gaara. However, this was also another version of how a light bulb burned its brightest before it burned out, and right now Rock Lee was moments away from burning out. The boy's body had only seconds left of strength left before it would collapse under the strain of its own power. Naruto knew that someone trained to open this many gates knew this too. Which was a case in point when Lee went for his most secretive moves on Gaara and saw the Suna boy unable to repel the attack. However, when the smoke cleared from using the lotus technique Guy had taught Lee, the spandex boy was barely able to crawl away from the wreckage with his body still held together, and Gaara was lying on his back having been completely disabled by the attack. Well, his body was disabled, but not his sand. "You won't win. My existence will not be denied," said Gaara, as he was enraged by the fact this boy had done this to him, and was not going to let this boy live outside of this arena. Got to get away from him. I don't have any strength left to fight, thought Lee, as he tried to crawl away from Gaara's slowly rising sand, and heard Tenten yelling down at him to get away from the Kazekage's youngest. "Die. Give your blood to mother," said Gaara, as he moved his sand like a snake ready to strike, and moved in for the kill. It never reached Lee. A whisper from Naruto that was so silent it could barely be called a whisper, and the sand collapsed like the life had been taken out of it. Gaara looked at his fallen attack in shock, as that had never happened before, and turned to the blonde with fear in his eyes. The whisper wasn't heard by anyone, except Gaara, so the Suna boy knew it was the proctor that disrupted the connection of his sand, and knew that by the look in the blonde eyes it would be unwise to challenge the former Soldier. Rock Lee is unable to fight. The winner is Subaku no Gaara, said Naruto silently, as his eyes glowed while looking at Gaara, and made sure the silent look between them told his fellow demon vessel to behave himself while in his arena. Slowly, Gaara got up from the ground, his face a mixture of pain from various injuries that Lee had managed to deliver to his body that his sand armor had managed to absorb most of, but still hurt all the same, and walked with a limp up the stairs with his sand back into his gourd. His siblings stayed quiet, but the look they gave Gaara was enough to make the boy look at them, and the older members of the boy's family looked away. "Are you alright, Gaara?" said Temari, as she saw Gaara wince in pain, and knew that one of the boy's ribs was either cracked or broken. "I need a few days, but I will be fine. However, I am not the one you need to worry about right now. That proctor did what no other has done. He somehow disabled my sand just by speaking a single word of a jutsu I've never known existed. Do not provoke him or you will die," said Gaara, as he saw his siblings, and his Jounin sensei look at him with shock on their faces before looking at the young blonde. How can the blonde wield so much power without exploding? Thought Temari, as she saw Guy take Lee away, and then looked at the board for the next two names to pop up. Haruno Sakura vs Yamanaka Ino. Great, the battle of the Uchiha's fangirls, thought Tenten, as she saw the two girls get ready to fight, and hoped it wouldn't be entirely boring. Surprisingly, it almost wasn't. Almost. Some of the Academy's taijutsu, a few traded insults, and one failed mind transfer jutsu later were all that happened in that fight before ending with both delivering a KO to the other that resulted in neither Jinan advancing. Naruto called it a double KO and ended it at that, with neither girl having any bragging rights over the other. Something Shikamaru was grateful for, since Ino would have raised her voice over the matter win or lose. At least with a draw the Nara could have some form of peace and quiet. Inuzuka Kiba vs Yoroi Kato. Alright. Time to show what we can do, Akamaru, said Kiba, as they made their way down to the arena floor, and got ready for a fight with the other Leaf Shinobi. However, the boy's enthusiasm was short-lived when the match started, as Yoroi Kato showed how skilled he was in absorbing chakra from his hands, which proved to be a big pain for Kiba since his strength was close-range fighting, and was now becoming his very weakness. Had it not been for Akamaru helping his master, Kiba would have quickly lost the match, and disabled Yoroi long enough to slug him in the head to send the man into unconsciousness. You may want to brush up on long-range fighting, Kiba. Just in case, said Shino, as he saw the Inuzuka growl at him, but stopped when Kurenai gave him a look that ended it, and to pay attention to the next fight. Tsuchi-kin vs Nara. Shikamaru. Great, I have to fight a girl. Lucky me. Why can't I just fight someone like that wired Psy kid? Thought Shikamaru sarcastically, as he lazily walked down to the arena floor, and Kin was already there waiting for him. You should be disqualified for making me wait so long, but then again, there would be very little fun in that, and I do want to make an example out of you for the other Leaf Nins here, said Kin, as she smirked at Shikamaru, who sighed since he didn't want to do this, and was about to ask the proctor if he could forfeit. He stopped when Naruto gave the Nara a look saying take it like a man, and Shikamaru wisely decided to keep his mouth shut. Ready? Fight, said Naruto, as he brought his hand down, and saw the two go at with Kin throwing senbone needles with bells attached that unleashed a genjutsu on the Nara genius that was felt through the years. However, Shikamaru was not without his resilience despite his lazy nature, and was able to use his shadow possession jutsu on the girl before leaning back with her mimicking his actions. With one simple act of quickly bending backwards, Shikamaru had made Kin hit the wall behind her, and knocked the sound girl unconscious. Kin was taken away by the medics, but an unseen hand motion by Naruto sent the old Kage a message to keep her locked away until further notice, and the location she was in being a need-to-know basis. Subaku no Kankuro vs Misumi Tsurugi. Well, I guess my time has come, said Kankuro, as he walked down to the arena floor, and instantly felt the pressure from Naruto's power. Ready to die Suna punk? Said Misumi, as he smirked behind his mask, and saw it was returned. Ready? Fight, said Naruto, as he saw Kankuro leap backward, and threw down his puppet that was on his back before Misumi attacked by stretching his limbs out in an unnatural way around the puppet user. You know, the way you are wrapped around me suggests you want to be more than just village rivals, and personally I don't like you like that, said Kankuro, as smirked while in pain, and felt Misumi Tsurugi squeeze him tighter like an anaconda does its prey. Joking aside, Suna brat, I have you at my mercy, and unless you give up now, I'll break every bone in your body, said Misumi, as he squeezed harder, and heard a few bones breaking within Kankuro's body. Go ahead and do it, but there is something you should know. I'm not really Subaku no Kankuro, said the Suna boy before several sharp spikes shot out of his stomach into Misumi's own that made the leaf shinobi cry out in pain before letting go to fall in a bloody heap on the floor dead. Misumi Tsurugi is dead. The winner by kill is Subaku no Kankuro, said Naruto without emotion, as he saw that Kankuro was really a puppet, and the real Kankuro was in the wrapped bundle everyone thought was the puppet. Naruto-sama, doesn't it bother you slightly that the puppet user killed a shinobi of the leaf? Said Yugito behind her mask while whispering into his ear. Not that one. Kabuto is not what he appears to be, and neither are his two teammates that are supposedly of the leaf. I suspect a plot is brewing to take down the leaf by forces inside and outside of Konoha, with Misumi being one of those low-ranked people inside the village. His death just means one less person for us to look at, then interrogate, and eventually kill for his treasonous actions when the time comes, said Naruto in a similar whisper back to Yugito, and sense her nod in understanding. Akimichi Choji vs Kunita Dosu, looks like I'm up, said Choji, as he made his way down to the arena floor, and Dosu did the same, and they got ready for their fight. If it weren't for the proctor here, I would kill this leaf shinobi right now, but as it stands I can't risk doing it, and just knock out this fat fool, thought Dosu, as he prepared to start his plan, and got ready to take out the Akimichi. Ready? Fight, said Naruto, as he saw the two boys getting ready to fight, and Choji opened up with his multi-size technique that surprises Dosu before the now much larger boy begins rolling towards him. This is insane. How can someone so fat get even fatter and move this way? Thought Dosu, as he dodged Choji while Naruto decided to levitate off the ground while holding his two bodyguards off the ground with him, and looked down to continue watching the fight. And ignoring the feeling of both girls he was currently holding around the waist now pressing themselves against him. The fight ended quickly enough, as Choji tried to crush Dosu between himself and a wall, with the mummified boy escaping his own demise. At the same time, Choji was stuck in the wall he collided with, leaving him open to attack by Dosu, who looked at Naruto for a second, and then flicked his sound bracer gently near Choji's massive form to make the leaf shinobi fall asleep. Akimichi Choji is unable to fight. The winner by a nocturnal knockout is Kinuta Dosu, said Naruto, as he saw Dosu walk away, and the smirk that was on the sound shinobi's face. Uchiha Sasuke vs Yamada Sai, saving the best for last. How cliché of you, said Sasuke, as he made his way down to the arena floor, and Sai was waiting for him with a smile on his face. Ready? Figure? Said Naruto, as he saw Sai raise his hand, and made everyone wonder what the boy wanted. Excuse me, Proctor-san, but I wish to forfeit my fight against my teammate, said Sai, as he saw Naruto narrow his eyes at him, and felt sweat trickle down the back of his head. You are sure about this? Said Naruto, as he looked right into Sai's eyes, and instantly understood what it was that the boy was doing. Sai was a pawn meant to be sacrificed in order for the Uchiha to advance further into the Chunin exams, and the player behind this was high up near the Hokage. In Naruto's own calculating mind, there was only one person this pale-skinned boy would listen to with enough power politically to rival the Sandaime, and his name was Danzo. The time of that man's death was fast approaching in the blonde's mind. What a joke. We do all the fighting and the Uchiha doesn't even have to lift a finger to advance. Troublesome, thought Shikamaru, as he sighed at this, and then went down to the arena floor with all the other Genin that passed this test before being told what was next for them. Ichiraku's ramen. A few days later, Naruto ate his miso ramen with a serene state of mind, as he enjoyed the strange soup filled with noodles the man known to all in the leaf as Tuchi made, and the man's only daughter Ayame looked at the blonde with a heavy blush. This was Naruto's first time at the bar, as he had been in seclusion within the leaf for most of his time in the village, but it was now becoming pointless since rumors of his existence were now being made to the public, and the urge to eat out was appealing to him. Sitting beside him, Haku along with Yugito were also enjoying their own ramen, and sat as close to Naruto as possible while giving the other one side glares to back off. Each of them counted this as a date with Naruto, and they weren't about to have it spoiled by the other. Ramen girl included. Tell me, Haku, what do you think of the Genin that made it to the finals? Said Naruto, as he had decided to start up a conversation, and that seemed to be something they could all talk about. It's interesting, Naruto-sama. All of them have potential to advance to Chunin, but I am still upset that the Uchiha advanced without earning it in the preliminaries, and everyone treats him like the son of Kami, said Haku, as she saw Yugito nod in agreement, and saw Naruto now going deep in thought. He faces Subaku no Gaara in the finals. Kakashi will no doubt focus the entire month on the Uchiha to get him ready for the event. However, knowing Kakashi's tardiness, the boy will be late, and be disqualified for it, said Naruto, as he knew Kakashi's habits, and how the Jounin like to be tardy for everything. Oh, the irony, said Yugito, as she smiled to herself, and knew this would really upset the councils deeply. Like she gave a rat ass what those jerks thought. Indeed, said Naruto, as he finished his third bowl, then paid for himself, and the girls before they began to leave with full stomachs. Wait. You are going to return for another visit, right? Said Ayame, as she was being fidgety, and blushing like a schoolgirl at Naruto with the blonde pausing in his movements. The food was good, so I would imagine returning here again is something to see in the near future, said Naruto, as he walked off with the girls behind him, and leaving Ayame to faint seconds later. Konoha Hot Springs 1 week later. Ooh yeah. I needed this, said Anko, as she sat in the hot springs with Kurenai, Hinata, Ino, and Tenten since the whole day had been filled with hard training. I must admit, it does feel good not sweating, and smelling like a guy after training, said Tenten, as she did feel the need on occasion to be like a girl, and make sure her body was not too abused from training. May we join you? Said Haku, as she came in with Yugito wearing towels, and saw the others nod since they were all of the female variety. So what have you two been up to while in Konoha? Said Kurenai, as she saw the two girls had great figures for their age, and was feeling a bit envious. Training hard like you. We also spend as much time as we can with Naruto-sama, said Haku, as she saw their eyes go wide, and faces blush at the blonde's name. Why do you call him Naruto-sama? Said Tenten, as she had tried to schedule some kind of celebration for Team 9's first Chunin exam attempt, but it had been difficult with Lee still in the hospital from his injuries, and Neji being the pompous ass that he was being for hurting Hinata. Because he deserves to be treated with respect. When we had nowhere to go, Naruto-sama took us in, and gave us a place to live where we could find happiness, said Yugito, as she saw the girls had dreamy looks in their eyes, and wished to have a white knight in shining armor sweep them off their feet. Wait. A place to live? Do you too live with Naruto? Said Ino, as she saw the two girls blush, and look away shyly while Anko was having a giggling fit. Oh, I bet they do more than just live with Naruto-kun. Especially with that sort of as he's sporting, said Anko, as she saw Kurenai, Haku, and Yugito blush while the others look at her with frowns since they didn't understand the innuendo due to them all seeing the weapon Naruto wielded in battle. Anko, said Kurenai, as she was not about to have Hinata's mind corrupted, and turned into a pervert to use those eyes for reasons beyond shinobi purposes. Oh, quit being such a prude, Kurenai-chan. That blonde boy has a meat stick that could put any other man in Konoha to shame, and these two know it, said Anko, as she saw the other girls blush now, and Kurenai just saw Naruto's housemates blushing even harder. You've done that with him? Said Tenten, as she was now feeling a mixture of surprise, anger, and something along the lines of lust? No, yelled out both Haku and Yugito, blushing harder than before, as they saw Anko laughing, and sent the woman a combined death glare. How big I is Naruto-kun? Said Hinata, as that made everyone look at the shy Hyuga in shock, and Anko just smirked at seeing the girl from a prestigious clan asking such a dishonorable to a commoner of the leaf. Hinata. Don't ask such a question, and don't you dare answer her, Anko, said Kurenai, as she saw Anko about to answer, and pout at being denied, turning the girls into perverts. If they only knew, right kitten? Said Nibi, as she sent images to Yugito, and her vessel was trying to fight off the images. And failing miserably. Fine. I won't answer her, but I can't wait until Naruto-kun gets a few years older, said Anko, as she licked her lip hungrily, and ignored Kurenai's glare along with the two new girls giving her looks to back off. And maybe we should keep our voices down, said Hinata, as she suddenly sat up straight with her chest showing more out of the water to reveal she was developing into quite the young woman. Why Hinata-chan? Said Tenten, as she saw the girl blushing to the point of possibly exploding, and hyperventilating to the point of needing a paper bag. He's on the other side, said Hinata silently, as she had her Byakugan on, and now had a nosebleed running slowly down her nose. Who? Said Ino, but the hungry look in Anko's eyes, and turning to the wall that had separated the two genders from the inevitable problems of perverts followed by angry women beating up said perverts before moving towards it. Naruto-kun, said Anko, as she so badly wanted to peep on the other side to see the blonde, and check out his body while in the hot springs. At this rate Anko may not have the willpower to wait a few years. Instantly, Kurenai moved to keep her friend from going over the wall to kidnap the boy before molesting him, and the nightmares that were sure to come. The other girls, Ino and Tenten however, couldn't resist in trying to see him through the various secret peepholes that the male side had made to look at them on occasion. So turnabout here was fair play. We should indeed do something like this? Said Hinata, as she didn't want to let the boy think she was some kind of pervert, and if her father found out he would keep her locked up until her eventual wedding day. Or his deathbed. Whichever came first. You're one to talk, little miss, see below the belt with your eyes. Said Ino, as she made Hinata go eep. Before sinking into the water like a turtle, and blushing deeply at the fact her eyes could be used for such a naughty thing. The girls made their way over to a peephole while Kurenai was struggling with Anko to prevent the snake woman from doing something rash, and was able to see Hinata staying in shy turtle mode in the process. Yugito and Haku seemed to be struggling within themselves to peep, but they seemed to stay put to let the others watching since they did not have the honor of living with the blonde. They decided to let the girls see a rare sight, which would never be seen for some time, and only Naruto's housemates had the chance to see more than once. When the two girls did look in the peephole, they saw Naruto wearing only a towel, and showed his physique that made the peeping girls blush at the sight. For Tenten, it was quite a sight since most of the time she never saw a shirtless male, and even then this boy had every other person beat hands down on muscle. Naruto also had his fair share of battle scars on his body that showed that he had indeed quite the ruthless sword instructor when growing up. If Tenten only knew how close to the truth she was. For Ino, she had always been boy crazy since her Sasuke fangirl days at the academy, and how cute the Uchiha looked at the time. However, at the current moment, Ino was blown out of the water by the body that Naruto possessed, and made Sasuke look like a 90-pound soaking wet weakling. Then they saw Naruto lose his towel before stepping into the water, and in that moment the girls' eyes were wide like dinner plates before they went flying back from the geyser from each of their nosebleeds. See? I told you they would like what they see, said Anko, as she saw Kurenai look at the action in shock, and it gave the other woman she was holding down a chance to look into the peephole the two girls had vacated. However, the moment she looked into the hole, Anko saw someone, who was not Naruto, looking through the other end, and making her cry out in surprise with the other person doing the same. Realizing that a pervert had been looking back at her, Anko became very angry, and not just because the pervert got a glimpse at her fabulous body. No, Anko was able to deal with that, but the fact was this man had blocked her chance of seeing Naruto in all his nude glory again, and when Anko was denied something she liked, Anko got violent. Very violent. Crying out pervert, Anko kicked down the wall to make the man pay, and see Naruto naked being the added bonus before beating the pervert into the hospital's emergency room. Kurenai was right behind her, as the Genjutsu mistress had no intention of letting a pervert get away from attempting to look at them, and brag how he got to see so many naked female bodies. What they saw was Naruto, somehow having gotten fully dressed, holding on to the now struggling pervert of a man with long white hair by the neck, and not budging despite the man's attempts to break the hold. Naruto's eyes looked at the man before looking back at the two women, now blushing at being exposed like this, though Anko was more keen on showing him than hiding it. This man was only peeping on you for approximately 2.5 seconds. I was just about to interfere when he jumped away in fright at being caught and would have ran away had I not stopped him, said Naruto, as he slammed the pervert into the ground with his one arm, and at the two women's feet with several of the others, now wearing towels, behind them. Naruto was well aware of what males did at times when here and an abundant number of women were on the other side bathing in the hot springs. He knew it caused hassles for the women in the hot springs since they just wanted their own time to themselves, which was what he wanted Haku along with Yugito to have too, since they more than deserved it, and the blonde himself also wished to relax his muscles in the hot spring too. He had enjoyed the sensation for the few seconds he had it, but it was ruined by this long-haired giggling pervert, who had looked into the peephole, and making the blonde narrow his eyes before summoning his clothing to his body in order to handle this situation with the pervert personally. Thank you, Naruto-kun. I knew you wouldn't let this mean old man hurt us emotionally with his perverseness, said Anko, as she tackled Naruto, and smothered his face between her breasts while ignoring the dark aura from the girl seeing this. Now's my chance, thought the man, as he began to quietly crawl away, and would have been home free had it not been for something stopping him. Namely, Naruto's sword embedded a third of the way into the ground in front of his face, and the angry blonde looking down at him while Anko was telling him how they all felt violated in some way from the man's actions. Before I end your perverted life in a very painful fashion, tell me your name, and I will carve it on your tombstone, said Naruto, as he saw the man sweating heavily, and trying to think of a way to flee. My name? My name is what the hell is that? said the man, as he pointed behind Naruto, making the girls look behind them, and gave the pervert a chance to run away, though he failed to notice in his haste a simple fact. Naruto didn't turn his head like the others and merely smirked a sinister smirk that spoke of evil intentions towards his prey. "And the hunt begins," said Naruto, as he smirked before levitating off the ground, and took off with blinding speed with his sword in hand after the pervert. If I wasn't so angry at missing seeing Naruto naked a second time, I would almost feel pity for the pervert he's going to kill, said Anko, as she smirked at Kurenai, who nodded her head, and found Naruto's chivalry quite appealing despite being seen naked by the blonde like Anko. "Wait. What do you mean seeing Naruto naked for a second time?" said Kurenai, as she turned to her friend, and glared at Anko with a explain everything now look on her face that made the purple-haired woman laugh sheepishly. "Well, you see, Kurenai-chan, it's like this. What the fuck is that?" said Anko, as he pointed behind her, and saw Kurenai fall for it again before taking off. "Anko. Get back here right now," said Kurenai, as she tried to catch up to her friend, and get an answer while the others just wondered how insane those two were when together like this. With Naruto launched another fire spell at the man, who nearly lost his leg in the attack, and begging for him to stop while running through the village to make it to the forest area to hide. The perverted man was wondering how this had happened to him and wondered if this was some kind of karma meant to set him straight. Either that or Cammy had finally decided she had enough of his dirty habits by sending one of her servants to kill him. Damn, this Gaki sure is something. No wonder the old man wanted to see me about him, thought the man, as he dodged another attack of the lightning variety that nearly took off a chunk of his hair, and exploded upon impact with the ground. "You have made a surprisingly impressive effort in not being slain by my hands, fool. But now you will meet your end for your perverted ways," said Naruto, as he had backed the man into a corner, and prepared to slice the pervert in two. "I don't think so. I've been on the receiving end of your attacks for too long now. I think it's time I, the great Jiraiya of the Sannin, return the favor." "Rasengan," said Jiraiya, as he leapt forward with surprising speed at Naruto, and hit the boy dead on in the chest, sending the blonde into a boulder. However, had the Sannin paid more attention to his actions, he would have realized that Naruto let Jiraiya hit him with the Rasengan, and did it for two reasons. One was the fact that Jiraiya had announced his name to Naruto, and the blonde was told by the Sandaime not to harm the pervert beyond the point of fighting for the leaf if that ever happened, and two, Naruto saw the Rasengan form in Jiraiya's hand, which made the blonde look at it in wonder, and decided to see just how powerful such a jutsu without the need for hand signs was. The best way was to take the hit to properly analyze it. That attack was very impressive. And it does not require hand signs like the other jutsus I've seen. I could actually learn such a skill, thought Naruto, as he got off the ground, and walked towards the now shocked Sannin. "How can you even get up from that?" said Jiraiya, as he saw the boy put away his sword, and the wounds on the blonde's body were apparently already healing. "That's not important right now, Jiraiya-san. What is important is that you come with me to the Sandaime, as he is waiting for you, and will want to know of your arrival into the village," said Naruto, as he saw Jiraiya scowl at him, and mumbled something along the lines of strange blonde Gakis being vague. "All right. Say I go with you. I'm not thrilled you interrupted my research, and ruined my chance to see all those pretty ladies in the hot spring," said Jiraiya, as he really wanted to see those ladies again, and saw Naruto narrow his eyes dangerously at him. "Your perverseness has caused them all a great deal of trauma, Jiraiya-san. If it weren't for the fact that the Sandaime needs you in his office right now, I would proceed to drag you back to Konoha by your hair, and then publicly remove your testicles from your anus," said Naruto, making Jiraiya go pale, and shivering in fear at such an action happening. Suddenly, seeing the old man wasn't such a bad thought right about now, and it would be in the best interest of his testicles not to resist. "Fair enough. You said the old man wanted to see me, right? So let's go," said Jiraiya, as he saw Naruto nod, and walk over to the Sannin that made the man tense. "Then let's not delay it any further," said Naruto, as he took hold of the man, and in another instant they were gone from the area. Hokage Tower. Moments later, the Sandaime sighed, as he looked at the paperwork in front of him, and cursed his late successor in not teaching him the secret to defeating it. What he wouldn't give right now to delay himself from doing it for just a minute, an hour, or the rest of his life perhaps. Strangely enough, his prayers were answered when Naruto instantly appeared in front of his desk with Jiraiya looking instantly green in the face before rushing to the nearest window and puked to reveal what he had to eat for lunch to the people below. "What was that?" said Jiraiya, as he pointed at Naruto, who shrugged at the slightly freaked out man, and the Sandaime smiled at his former student's actions in reacting to the teleportation power the blonde possessed. Nothing you need to worry about. Now, I believe you have some things to talk about with your old teacher, and to delay any further would be foolish, said Naruto, as he left the room for former teacher and student to talk about the means to defend the leaf. I take it the Gaki was one of the reasons you wanted me back in the leaf? Said Jiraiya, as he saw the Sandaime nod, and take in some of the tobacco from his pipe. Sit down, Jiraiya. What I'm about to tell you is known only to me and needs to be told to you for what threat that are no doubt going to happen in the future, said the Sandaime, as he starts to tell Jiraiya everything about Naruto the boy told him, and what the boy hold inside of him, with the Sanin's eyes widening to the point of the chance of each orb to fall out of their sockets. Shonin Exam Stadium 2 days later, the people crowded in the arena to see something that was unprecedented, as the Jiraiya of the Sanin had returned home after years away, and was challenging one Uzumaki Naruto to a battle of summoning. Naruto himself didn't know how it happened, but the Toad Sanin had apparently. The man nearly got on his knees begging, wanted to take him under his wing to be his apprentice in the ways of a Toad sage, and teach the blonde a few things along the way. Naruto had accepted, of course, since such teaching that he could learn were from Jiraiya would be useful in the long run, which included the Rasengan, but there was one small complication that had led to this little exhibition, and that was learning to summon toads. Naruto had stated that his own summons were fine at the moment, but did not foresee the need to learn how to summon toads in the near future, and thanked Jiraiya for the offer all the same. Jiraiya of course felt the way of the Toad Sage, and his pride had been insulted by the blonde and demanded satisfaction the way of a summoning duel. The summoning duel had both opponents summon one summoning creature to do battle against the others in a fight to show which one of them was right. When the betting pool started after it was known, many had betted heavily on Jiraiya due to his experience, skills, and his legendary status in the leaf, perverted books aside of course. However, those that knew of Naruto's battle skills, and the power of the blonde's own summons betted on him, though they kept their wagers more in the mediocre level to prevent others from changing their bets. Yugito and Haku had spoken privately to Naruto about why he didn't destroy Jiraiya for peeping on them earlier, with the blonde simply replying, "What I have in mind is ironic and far worse than death." The girls would have asked for an explanation, but Naruto raised a finger to each of their lips, making them blush, and then told them to bet on him with an average amount of money they had saved up. Now here Naruto was standing some 20 feet away from Jiraiya, who smirked in a form of arrogant triumph at the idea of summoning Toad boss Gamabunta, and showing the little blonde Gaki the might of the toads. The blonde, however, stood there like a statue, and was waiting for the Sanin to make the first move. "Jiraiya? Jiraiya, you lousy perverted lecher, why have you summoned me here?" said Gamabunta, as he looked ready to pound the man into oblivion, and saw Jiraiya waving his hands defensively while trying to explain himself. Wait, Gamabunta, please let me explain why I summoned you," said Jiraiya, as he knew that his relationship with the Toad was not good right now, and decided to tell the Toad boss everything. "What? This blonde Gaki thinks he's too good for summoning toads? Well, in that case I think I will show this smart mouth a thing or two about us, and show why we are the strongest among summons," said Gamabunta, as he waited for Naruto bring forward his own summons, and saw the blonde nod before his power surrounded him with something cold now entering the arena. "Who dares summon the goddess of ice and darkness? Who has the willpower and the endurance to summon the Ice Queen Shiva?" said the soothing voice of icy blue-skinned goddess, who was wearing the equivalent icy blue bikini, and causing an entire stadium filled with men, and a few of the women in it, getting nosebleeds at the sight of her. "I did, my Ice Queen, in order for you to face another summons in a duel for superiority," said Naruto, as he looked at the goddess while watching how Shiva walked with, leaving a long trail of ice that had formed on the ground behind her, and glowed with a light that seemed to be fitting of her title as a goddess. "You are so sweet, my summoner. I will have to find a way to thank you for this later," said Shiva in a flirtatious voice, as she caressed his face with her hand, and seemingly ignored the dark auras of the entire female half of the stadium. "Always the tease, Shiva," said Naruto, as he was new to Shiva's actions in teasing him in the past when he first summoned her months before he was hit with the banishment spell that brought him to the leaf. "You better get out of the way, Jiraiya. I don't want you to get in my way." "Jiraiya?" said Gamabunta, as he looked at the spot where the Sanin had been standing, and saw the massive blood trail from Jiraiya's own nosebleed at seeing Shiva's appearance that sent him flying quite literally through the stadium wall. If he wasn't dueling the supposed goddess of ice and darkness, Gamabunta would have laughed at the Sanin's misfortune. Speaking of which, it was when Gamabunta turned his head from Jiraiya's ironic punishment, did the Toad boss realize that by having his guard down, he had ensured his own defeat, and could not move from his spot simply because his webbed feet were covered in ice. Ice that was currently spreading up his body, as well as the entire arena floor around him, and preventing any form of jumping in order to escape his slowly growing icy tomb. In the stadium, Many were watching in shock at this match was quickly favoring Naruto, and those that had seen the blonde summon before were surprised at him using another summons of an entirely different element. Normally, a summoner would not, or rather a summoner could not have a contract with two different summons due to the conflicting nature some summons have for each other, and refuse to work for the same summoner. This is not meant to last any longer than it has to be. Shiva, would you please humble Gamabunta with an act of mercy and finish him off quickly, said Naruto, as he knew that from the Toad boss's past summoners like the Yondaime, the giant summons had a bit of an ego, which had to be deflated like Jiraiya's own, and the only way to do that would be make Gamabunta lose. But of course my summoner. Diamond Dust, said Shiva in smooth sweet voice that made men's hearts ache before she covered Gamabunta completely in ice, as she raised her hand up in a finesse-like manner, and with a simple snap of her fingers that echoed throughout the stadium, the ice shattered. And Gamabunta was violently defeated in that same moment. Well done Shiva. You do indeed live up to your title as the goddess of ice and darkness that you say you are, said Naruto, as he saw Shiva turn around in an elegant manner, and smile at her summoner before placing her hand on his face again. Thank you my summoner. Summon me again when you need me for another battle, said Shiva, as she did something that shocked everyone in the stadium, and made certain individuals angry. Shiva had kissed Naruto right on the lips before walking by and fading away back to her domain while the blonde let out a breath of cool air from his mouth. Such a tease that can warm any heart before freezing it to death as always Shiva, said Naruto, as he now began walking out of the arena, and a very shocked crowd with jaws dropped at how easily Gamabunta was cast aside. Naruto-sama, said Haku and Yugito, as they were at his side holding on to him with the blonde raising an eyebrow at their affectionate actions. Haku-chan. Yugito-chan. Is something wrong? Said Naruto, as he saw the girls acting very strange would most likely be the word, and saw them looking a bit nervous about something. We just want to say thank you for giving that dirty pervert a taste of his own medicine and we wish to express our thanks in our own way, said Yugito, as she blushed further, and Haku was doing the same since they weren't sure how Naruto would take this. Express it you say? How? Said Naruto, as he had easily sensed their displeasure of what Shiva did when the goddess caressed his face, and kissed him after the duel was over. This way, said Yugito, as she kissed him first right on the lips, and hoped he wouldn't be offended by it. If this offends you Naruto-sama, then we are sorry, but it's the only way we can express ourselves to you with this action, said Haku, as she waited until Yugito broke the kiss, and gave her own to the surprised Naruto. When the kiss ended, Naruto stood there shocked at the actions his two housemates gave him, and ran it through his mind with the speed of a supercomputer. On the one hand, it wasn't unexpected that the girls show him such affection, and he did like them back too. But the question was now, was he ready to return it in the manner they wished? Could he do so given what he was? If the various enemies he had made learned of his relationship with them or any other female got out, they would be targeted to get to him, and that was unacceptable. However, what was even more unacceptable was to deny these two the much needed affection they wanted, and deserved for putting up with the hell they went through. Neither of your kisses offended me Haku-chan. In fact, I found them to be enjoyable. We must do it again sometime in near future, said Naruto, as he gave a small smile by his standard, and missed the glowing looks both girls now had on their faces. 1 month later Chunin exam finals, Naruto stood beside the Hokage in the cage booth by the Sandaime's chair, as he saw the Kazekage arrive before greeting the elderly Kage, and sitting in the chair next to him. Of course Naruto knew that the man wasn't really the Kazekage, but really Orochimaru in disguise, and Gaara was a means to destroy the leaf inside while an invasion force that consisted of Suna with sound shinobi attacked from the outside. Kabuto may have been the Sanin's right-hand man, but even the young medic was no match for Ibiki, and Anko's skills in getting answers out of him. As for Kin, she instantly spilled her guts since failing Orochimaru was the equivalent of death, and would be killed if caught by the man's forces. Kin had practically begged the Hokage to put her in some form of protective custody so Orochimaru wouldn't get to her. Which was why Kin was now Naruto's newest housemate after some renovating had been done, much to both Yugito's and Haku's dismay when they learned of it. Having another girl in the house, who would no doubt go after their Naruto-sama, made them angry, and felt very possessive of the blonde. However, they understood why the Sandaime had done it, and both girls decided they would put up with Kin with watchful eyes. On the lighter side of things, Yugito had her restriction seal for the Nibi the Raikage had given her removed with the efforts of Jiraiya taking a look at it, and under the watchful eyes of Naruto since he was interested in the sealing arts. Now when Gaara did attack at the time of the planned invasion, Yugito would be able to handle him, and leave Naruto to deal with Orochimaru. Below in the arena, Haku was wearing her mask, and was the designated proctor for the Chunin exam finals, waiting for the sound shinobi Dosu along with Uchiha Sasuke. Both were late for the Chunin exam finals, with the former one having been killed by Gaara according to the remains left behind that Naruto found a few days after the duel with Jiraiya. The first matchup is Kinuta Dosu vs Hyuga Neji, said Haku. She saw Neji stay while the others left for the fighter's box, and waited for Dosu to arrive. Fate has declared me the victor today, Proctor. He's too afraid to show up, said Neji, as he smiled arrogantly at his apparent victory, and sensed Haku's displeasure at his words. You were wrong, Hyuga Neji. Dosu was dead long before these exam finals, but you will never know just how much of a disadvantage those sound bracers would have been to your gentle fist, and destroyed your body, thought Haku, as she had examined what was left of Dosu's body herself due to her analytical skills being second only to Naruto's own, and learned what the bracers could do upon inspection of the one that partially survived Gaara's attack. Call the match, Haku. We both know what happened to Dosu, and so does the Hokage, said Naruto in a whisper into his earpiece communication setup he had with Haku, and the girl nodded slightly before declaring Neji the winner by official disqualification. Will Uchiha Sasuke and Subaku no Gaara please come to the arena floor? It is now time for your match, said Haku, as Gaara appeared ready to fight, but Sasuke was nowhere to be seen, and it made the boy angry. After a while, Sasuke had yet to show up, making the crowd boo at wanting to see action, and the last Uchiha fight against the Kazekage's own son. The Sandaime turned to look at Naruto, who looked back with a serious face, and shook his head no to the Hokage since the man wanted to appease the angry audience. Hokage-sama, perhaps we should postpone the fight until later since Uchiha Sasuke is late, and needs a little more time getting here, said the Kazekage, as he needed the match to be delayed long enough for Kabuto to get into position, and knock out the people in it. No, we will not. Uchiha Sasuke knows to be here on time like everyone else was today, and I will not give the boy special privileges simply because he is an Uchiha. The boy is officially disqualified from his match and your son Gaara is the winner, said a now angry Sandaime, as he made it official with Naruto telling Haku, and Haku making the announcement that caused many people to become displeased with the decision. That is a dangerous decision to make, Hokage-sama. Surely you will reconsider and let the Uchiha show off his skills for the various people who came to see the boy compete, said the Kazekage, while inwardly the Sannin in disguise was fuming at his old sensei's actions over the matter. I cannot. If all shinobi were like the Uchiha in being tardy for mission, then we could not guarantee the safety of the very clients we may have in the future, and it would be bad for the leaf, said the Sandaime, as he saw Subaku no Kankuro had forfeited his match against Aburame Shino, and the boy's brother was now up against Nara Shikamaru in the arena. The fight in the arena, if one could call it that, was showing just how lazy Nara was, and Shikamaru being a prime example of how they did things. Tamari wasn't stupid, as she had prepared for fighting Shikamaru, and his shadow possession jutsu along with any others in his arsenal. In fact, Shikamaru was at a disadvantage because the arena had yet to be marked by signs of battle since the first two fights were won by disqualification, and another forfeited almost instantly, with this being the first true fight so far. One that Tamari dominated instantly, as she unleashed wind jutsu after wind jutsu on the Nara hiding in the small woody area within the stadium next to the walls, and was basically getting the crap kicked out of him. Shikamaru tried to think up a plan to ensnare the troublesome blonde woman, but it involved the terrain being scarred in some way, and possibly a hole somewhere to allow his shadow to achieve the extra reach. Sadly, there was none, and so Shikamaru took his beating like a true Nara would before he gave up out of fear that Tamari would succeed in killing him. Besides, if anyone was going to succeed in killing him, it was going to be his mother later tonight for losing, and that could be done in the privacy of the clan home. It was not long after that, Uchiha Sasuke finally make his public appearance with Hatake Kakashi right behind him, and ready to fight Gaara. Too bad he couldn't fight anymore. Are we late, Proctor-san? Said Kakashi, as he suspected they were, but due to this being a huge event, the Jounin suspected it would overlooked, and give Sasuke some kind of an extension for his fight. Not only are you late, but due to your tardiness, Uchiha Sasuke was disqualified, and Subaku no Gaara was declared the winner, said Haku, as she saw shock on his face, and anger on Sasuke's before the boy turned to the cage booth to glare not at the Hokage but rather Naruto standing beside him. That loser probably convinced the old man to it. It's because of him that I can't advance in rank like Itachi did, thought Sasuke, as he clenched his fists, and wanted to make the blonde pay for his actions. Won't the Sandaime reconsider? Said Kakashi, as he had hoped not to be late this time, and if they were that the Hokage would have extended the time needed. No. Uchiha Sasuke had his chance to be here on time, Hatake-san. You know tardiness is never accepted in the shinobi world when it comes to missions and clients. Your student is not getting special privileges simply because of his clan, said Haku, as she saw the Jounin nod in understanding, and Sasuke becoming livid at those words. Tell the Hokage to change his mind now. Unless he wants to lose clients and funding to the village, he'll have me fight Gaara this instant, said Sasuke, as he wasn't going to back down, and let the old cage ruin his chances to get stronger. I won't, Uchiha-san. You had your chance to be here like everyone else. The only one to blame is yourself, said Haku, as she saw the anger flaring out his eyes, and knew that if things got out of hand the boy would try to attack her. I will show you who's to blame, said Sasuke, as he was about to teach this bitch from some weak clan just who was superior when he stared right into the eyes of a maelstrom, and felt a power like none he had ever felt before. You tread a very dangerous path, Uchiha Sasuke. Defy the Hokage any further and it will be considered treason, which is punishable by death, and I have no problem ending your life in front of all the people. And before you say otherwise, there is not a soul in Konoha that can stop me, and I have the full backing of the Hokage, said Naruto, as he saw the tall tale signs of hostility that the psychological profile told the blonde that the Sharingan user possessed due to his belief that all other beings were inferior to him. The only way to keep the Uchiha in line was to show how weak he was and to not make any attempts against those stronger than him. This is all your fault. If you weren't around, the Sandaime would let me compete despite my tardiness and I would be fighting Subaku no Gaara right now, said Sasuke, as he had involuntarily had his fists clenched, and the urge to punch the blonde was so strong right now. Perhaps. However, as it stands, your disqualification is now on record, and to continue fighting it would be unwise, said Naruto, as he saw Sasuke glare at him before Kakashi grabbed the Uchiha's shoulder, and forced the boy to move away to the seats where some of the other rookies were sitting in the audience. This isn't over, freak, thought Sasuke, as he looked back to glare at Naruto, and then the female proctor with narrow eyes. Kurenai-san, are you in position, said Naruto, as he had worked out a plan to defend the village from the outside part of the invasion force, and needed to make it seem like the Sanin's right-hand man was still in here in the village. Yes. Though I wish we didn't have to do this to our own people, said Kurenai, as she wore the Anbu mask, an oversized cloak that gave her a more male appearance. Do not worry. All Chonin and Jounin in the arena know this is coming. Besides, if we don't do this, then Orochimaru will know something is amiss, and find a way to signal the invasion forces to change formation. Also, if this is about the genjutsu being too much for you, I have complete faith in your skills, and trust that they are more than enough to do this, said Naruto, as he thought he heard her gasp at his belief she would do well, and thought his earpiece was getting extra warmth some way from Kurenai's earpiece. Should I proceed with the genjutsu? Said Kurenai, as she saw some of the people in the stands, who were foes in disguise, getting anxious, and knew that if they were being that way then so was Orochimaru. Proceed, said Naruto, as he nodded to Haku, who got ready while Yugito snuck into the fighter's box, and got ready to take on Gaara, knowing that if there was a battle of demons to take it into the forest area. Things were finally about to hit the fan. Chapter 6 Trial by Fire. The invasion of Konoha had started, as the combined allied forces of Suna and Sound Shinobi began to attack the Leaf in the hopes of the strongest of shinobi villages would fall. The plan itself had been solid enough, with the infamous Orochimaru devising the strategy to use Gaara as the proverbial hammer that would fall the hardest on the Leaf from within its walls, and the large number of shinobi outside of the village combined with the snake summoning formation the Sanin gave them to be the pincer formation that would quickly crush the will of fire forever. There is an old saying about best laid plans not working out, but explaining it would just take too long, as the point about the old saying was proven this day, and the invading enemy quickly found themselves being quickly defeated by the Leaf. Orochimaru's plan had in fact blown up in his face, as he was denied the necessary information needed to redo his plan to work properly, since the Sandaime knew of the invasion, the key areas that the allied forces would invade, and what each area was planning to do during the invasion. In fact, the only part that went according to Orochimaru's plan was the genjutsu that Kurenai herself did, and getting some private time with the Sandaime, with the Sound 4 brining up a barrier so no one could interfere. As for Naruto, he was being attacked by allied shinobi hidden in the arena that weren't already being attacked by Leaf shinobi, and was slicing them down with his sword. In the fighter's box, the fight had exploded into the arena as well, with Tamari being attacked by Haku. Kankuro was currently fighting shinobi, and Yugito was taking her fight with Gaara out into the nearby forest area outside of the closest arena wall. It's been a long time for the both of us since we've been in and battled this big, said QB, as the blood, death, and destruction around them was all too familiar to the fox along with his vessel. Battle after battle with the carnage of killing wave after wave of foes that stood before Naruto while under the command of Sephiroth himself came back to the young blonde in his mind, and the teaching the Soldier commander had imprinted upon his apprentice were serving the boy well. A flash of his sword and the 5 shinobi that encircled Naruto fell into chunks of flesh without so much as a drop touching the blonde. Yes. It has been far too long, thought Naruto, as he unleashed the Tri-Fire spell that hit 3 different enemy groups, and looked up to see the dark purple barrier Orochimaru had his bodyguards bring up to fight the Sandaime. Or at least, who the Sannin thought was the Sandaime. With Orochimaru, how does it feel, Sarutobi-sensei? How does it feel knowing you are going to die at the hands of your favorite student? Said Orochimaru, as he grinned at the old Hokage, who scowled at him before the old man smirked, and went poof to reveal, Jiraiya? Hey heavy team. Did you miss me? Said Jiraiya, as he smiled at his former teammate, and saw that the snake Sannin was now furious. What? Don't tell me that old fool is too much of a coward to even try killing me, said Orochimaru, as he snarled at the toad Sannin, and Jiraiya just smirked at seeing the look on the pale man's face. Actually, the old man did want to fight you heavy time, but I talked him out of it since I knew what you knew, and decided that it should be me who puts you out of your misery, said Jiraiya, as he had felt guilty like the Sandaime, but unlike the old cage, it never did weigh him down like the Yondaime's death did, and had to be dealt with this in his own way. As if you could. Let's see how good you really are and fight not only myself, but your own student, and Sarutobi-sensei's successor, said Orochimaru, as he performed the impure world resurrection summoning, and brought up a coffin with the kanji 4th on it. Orochimaru, you stupid bastard, if you had done your homework on how the Yondaime died, you'd have summoned the previous Kages to fight me, thought Jiraiya, as he had read the interrogation report done on Kabuto, and how Orochimaru had created a jutsu meant to summon the dead of his choice. All Jiraiya had to do was piss off his old teammate enough to make him summon the Yondaime. Jiraiya? Is that you? Said the Yondaime, as he walked out of his coffin, and looked at his old sensei looking back with a measure of pride on his face. Yep. It's me, said Jiraiya, as he saw his student slouching a little though that was to be expected since the Yondaime was dead, and his skin looked a bit pale. You look old, Uro-sennin. Tsunade must have kicked the crap out of you one too many times after I died, said Minato, as he saw Jiraiya face fault, and chuckled at his sensei's reaction. I'm your sensei. Treat me with respect, damn it, yelled Jiraiya, as his undead student called him Uro-sennin, and still mocked him for being a super pervert. Not going to happen, Uro-sennin, said the Yondaime, as he looked behind his back to see Orochimaru smirking like he had done the best thing since Sake, and had a kunai with a seal tag connected to it. If you two are done bonding, perhaps you can both entertain me in fighting to the death, and then amuse me Yondaime by killing the very village you love, said Orochimaru, as he was about to put the item in his hand in the Yondaime's head, but Minato suddenly glowed before straightening up, and looking like he was alive with the kanji symbol for Shinigami on his forehead with seal designs running down his face all over his body. No, thank you Orochimaru. You cannot command me like you would anyone else due to giving my soul to the Shinigami 13 years ago, said the Yondaime, as turned around, and made a Rasengan form in his hand before shoving it into Orochimaru's face, causing the Sannin's skull to explode upon impact. He never was that bright when it came to the art of sealing, said Jiraiya, as he saw his old teammate's body fall to the floor dead, and the now late Sannin's bodyguards taking down the barrier in order to flee. Graviga, said Naruto, as he targeted the 4 sound shinobi with his spell that forced each one of them to eat tile with incredible force, and cried out in pain from trying to fight back until they went into a pain-induced unconsciousness. Ouch. That looked painful, said Jiraiya, as he saw Naruto walk towards him while the Anbu, who were waiting outside of the barrier, collected the sound 4 shinobi, and take them to the hospital to await recovery followed by interrogation. That was the idea, said Naruto, as he looked at the man next to Jiraiya, and frowned when he sensed the Kyuubi had a strange desire to attack this person despite being in control of such emotions. Naruto, is that you? Said Minato, as he looked at the boy, and then at Jiraiya for an explanation. You know who I am, Yondaime-sama, yet you have been dead around the time of my birth, and I have this strange feeling that I should know you from somewhere aside from Konoha's history books, said Naruto, as he saw the taller blonde look at him with a small frown, and then at Jiraiya again with a tell me now look. This could be a little complicated and I don't think you have the time, Minato, said Jiraiya, as he saw his prized student's body beginning to decompose now that the man's summoner was dead at the hands of the summons, and was about to die, again. All good things must come to an end, I guess. Until I see you on the other side, Jiraiya, and from the looks of things, it's going to be sooner than later, said Minato, as his body finally fell to pieces, and ashes that scattered into the wind. Even dead, my own student still makes fun of me, said Jiraiya more to himself, then to Naruto, and looked at the still alive blonde deep in thought. There was more of a connection between us, than simply being a Hokage, who sealed away the Kyuubi inside my body, and having blonde hair. Isn't there? Said Naruto, as he looked at Jiraiya, who was looking away with a bit of guilt on his face, and then back at him with a "I'll tell you privately" look that made the young Uzumaki want to slowly torture the Toad Sannin for the information. I'll explain things later. Right now we have an invasion to end and something big needs to be done to do it, said Jiraiya, as he saw Naruto nod, and then smirk an evil smirk that made the Sannin a little frightened. Something big, you say? Well then, I think I can manage such an action, said Naruto, as he hovered slightly into the air, and spread his hands out slightly before he called upon a massive amount of mana from his body that was the most he had ever summoned so far in his entire life. Of course, what Naruto was about to do was something even he had only done just once before, and even then the strain nearly killed him because of his young age. Why do I get the feeling that I should be afraid as well as impressed? Thought Jiraiya, as saw Naruto's elevation and height up towards the sky increase, and the boy was unleashing large amounts of what looked like lightning all around him. Above the blonde, the sky darkened all around the village, lightning shot out of various intervals, and roar from within it depths that was not thunder echoed through the village. The fighting at that moment had stopped, as Leaf, Suna, and Sound Shinobi looked up at this glowing light-covered child with his hands in the air to look even higher to see a very large something come out of the angry heavens. That very large something that Naruto was calling forth using his body as a beacon was the blonde's strongest summons known to all in Midgar as the dragon, Bahamut. The mighty creature flew over Konoha roaring in rage at being summoned to this world, as it was unfamiliar with it, and soon began to hone in on Naruto before stopping right in front of the blonde. The dragon's eyes met Naruto's in a stare down, as its summoner's test for worthiness, which the blonde failed last time, was about to recommence, and see if this place would be destroyed like the last area it was summoned to. Naruto knew the risks of doing this, as he had been told the first time by Sephiroth, since failing the test to be considered worthy would be damaging to everything around the area Bahamut was summoned. In fact, the last time the great dragon was summoned, it took a large portion of Sephiroth's strength to take down the beast, and save Naruto from certain death that had been moments from claiming him. The test that Naruto was about to take was the same test that he had failed last time, and the name of the test was willpower. Naruto was not weak by any mean, but it had been trained into him to submit to being that were stronger than him, with an example being via Sephiroth, and when the blonde did it with Bahamut the first time, thought it was the right course of action to show respect to the dragon. Unfortunately, that was the mistake, as the dragon only respected the strongest of summoners to bring them to whatever realm they were in, and the instant Naruto kneeled to the summon's might was the instant the test had been a complete failure for the former soldier. Now, however, Naruto was different than before, as he had learned from his mistakes no matter how rare they were, and learned instantly corrected them with quick precision so not to make the same mistake twice. Now here he was again, standing right in front of the great summons Bahamut, piercing into his mind to force the blonde to submit, and make the same mistake a second time. Naruto had no intention of that happening. Even now, as Bahamut stood to enforce his will upon Naruto, the young summoner was fighting against it, and refusing to fail this test again. However, even with all his strength in resisting the great dragon, Naruto still seemed to be losing, and slowly felt himself losing to Bahamut's strength. In his mind, the blonde tried to figure out a way to fight back against the dragon's dominating willpower, but nothing seemed to be working, and yet it seemed Bahamut couldn't fully force him into submission. Like there was some part of his mind that wouldn't allow his summons to overpower him and was trying to make that part of Naruto submit. "Do you have anyone precious to you, Haku?" thought Naruto, as he frowned at the voice that sounded like the girl, and her form materialized in his mind. When you are protecting someone precious to you, only then do you become truly strong, Naruto-kun. I have no precious person, Haku. Even if I wanted to, what person could I have precious to me, and return such feelings to the Black Angel of Death? Thought Naruto, as he had tried to be such a person to Haku, and to Yugito since her time living with them. The girl in front of him giggled and smiled at him. Look deep inside yourself, Naruto-kun. Look for who it is that is precious to you, and then you will find your true strength to do incredible things. I have faith in you. And with the image of Haku faded away, but the smile she had never left her face, and it was in that moment something inside of Naruto clicked into place, filling him with a new sense of power. Haku's right. She is precious to me. So is Yugito. Even the Sandaime, who took me in, is precious to me, and I'm not about to fail them when they are counting on me. Thought Naruto, as he pushed back against Bahamut's influence, and threw the dragon's presence from his mind. When Naruto left his mind, Bahamut was staring back at him with eyes that showed it was pleased to have found a summoner that would not bend to its will so easily. Impressive, my summoner. You did much better than last time. It seems now you are worthy of and ready to summoning me, said Bahamut, as it turned its attention to the forces below, and saw the enemy forces looking on in fear before running away. Wipe out the fleeing forces, Bahamut. Use Mega Flare, said Naruto in a tired voice, but he lost none of the commanding strength behind it, and watched while the dragon obeyed his command, sending its attack on the retreating enemy. The destruction was instantaneous, as the enemy was wiped out in a brutal fashion, and all that was left of the threat to the leaf was a broken shell of its former self. What was left of Suna's forces called for a retreat, as they managed to avoid death at the hands of Bahamut, and took off back to Suna as fast as their bodies would let them. They wanted no part of the leaf in terms of being its enemy and would have to send someone later on as an emissary to broker peace between the two villages. Baki. Where are the Kazekage's children? Said a retreating Jounin, who did not see the siblings anywhere, and saw Baki's face look sour at the moment. They were all captured shortly after the invasion started. Even worse, is that Subaku no Gara was taken down by the Nibi vessel, and is being restrained as we speak, said Baki, as saw the Jounin going pale white, and thought he could hear the man whispering about committing seppuku when getting back home. Though Baki felt given the circumstances, such action seemed tempting right now, and would have to figure out what to do with his life if Suna was unable to survive. Naruto let out a tired sigh, as he saw Bahamut roared out in victory over his summoner's enemies now dead, or running away before leaving the world for its own. Slowly making his way to the ground, Naruto fell to his knees before tilting to his right, as his body felt heavy on that side, and after looking over his right shoulder learned why. Naruto had grown a single angel-like wing from his right shoulder blade with snow-white feathers that seemed to shine in the sunlight that now came from the parting clouds in the sky. Even Jiraiya, upon seeing the boy, was surprised by this newest development, as he had never known anyone, or heard anyone for that matter, possessing such a thing. Was that big enough for you, Uro-sennin? Said Naruto, as he felt tired both physically from summoning Bahamut, and mentally from resisting the dragon's test. Ah, yeah. Wait. Why did you call me Uro-sennin? Said Jiraiya, as he wondered what possessed Naruto call him that, and the blonde let out a tired chuckle. After the Yondaime called you that name, I reflected on its meaning, and wanted to give it my own little test run, said Naruto, as slowly got to his feet, and stumbled a bit before Haku came to his side to support him while a more battered up Yugito did the same on the other side. Great. First the Yondaime and now you. When will it end? Said Jiraiya, as he sighed at the fact he was never going to lose that name right now, and wondered if he should give up peeping at all. Pausing at that thought, Jiraiya laughed to himself at how stupid the idea was, and figured he could live with that nickname as long as he got to spy on hot babes in the hot springs. Konoha. Sometime later, the invasion has all quieted down, as people were repairing what parts of the leaf were damaged during the invasion, and fixing up their homes that were damaged during it. Many still couldn't get over the fact that a boy roughly 12 to 13 years old had summoned a huge dragon-like creature that practically obliterated the entire Allied invasion force and had enough power in his body to do so. By this point, the councils wanted to know just who the hell this boy was, and how they were denied the information about him after all this time. Hence why they were having a meeting right now with the Sandaime, which Jiraiya was overlooking to help give the old man emotional support, and Naruto sitting in a chair facing them all to answer questions. Hokage-sama, I know you felt the need to keep the boy a secret for so long, but with the invasion fast approaching during the Chunin exams, we had a right to know more, and to deny us such knowledge borders on the breaking of several village laws, said Hiashi, as he had heard about the boy from Neji, and then by Hinata after he talked to each one privately about the boy after the Chunin preliminaries. Neji said he was powerful, but still a commoner, and Hinata was blushing while standing straighter than Hiashi had ever seen trying to properly describe Naruto. It was something Hiashi had never seen before and felt further inquiry needed to be done after the invasion ended when things settled down. I know I should have, but it was not a decision I could make by myself since Naruto had requested that his involvement in the Leafs matters be done secretly from the shadows, and a contract on the matter had been written out to further solidify our agreement, said the Sandaime, as he produced a few copies of the contract for the two councils, and the clan heads to look at with their eyes. Still, contract or not, the matter of hiding this boy from us clearly questions your mental state in this matter, and we must consider a new Hokage with a much stronger mental state, said Danzo, as he saw some of the council members nod their heads in agreement, and noticed the slightly narrowing eyes of Naruto aimed at him that made the old man strengthen his grip on his cane/sword slightly underneath the desk. The Sandaime's mental state is within reasonable parameters for running this village, as he has not once faulted in doing his duty with the exception of one matter, which I would like to point out has been resolved during the invasion, and I challenge anyone here to say otherwise with further proof to back up your claims, said Naruto, as he saw everyone looking at him, and saw the Sandaime smile at the boy for defending him. And how would a boy such as you know about such things? You aren't even old enough to shave, much less understand what it means to fight. We don't even know your past. I say we have a Viki interrogate this boy and extract all the knowledge his mind has to offer us for future usage against our enemies, said Danzo, as he didn't like this boy, and felt the urge to attack Naruto grow stronger. To do so would violate the terms of the contract I have with the Sandaime and prove that the leaf is without honor in holding up its terms of the agreement. If that is the case, then I should leave the village, and employ my services elsewhere that would appreciate them. I am after a freelance mercenary given the status of my contract, and I can leave at any time if I feel my services to the leaf are no longer beneficial to me, said Naruto, as he left out the part of taking Haku and Yugito with him since he would have to do that secretly. Maybe he would even take Kin with him too, since she would most likely be targeted for being a former sound shinobi. Why, you little, said Danzo, as he snarled at Naruto, and was silenced by a firm hand raised by the Sandaime. Danzo, what Naruto says is true, and after what we've seen him do during the invasion, I would prefer that the boy stay employed here within the leaf rather than someone else with less than friendly plans for us, said the Sandaime, as he saw many members of the councils, and the clan heads pale at the idea of fighting the boy. Still, Hokage-sama, the boy's abilities are not that of a shinobi, and begs the question of how he became like this at all, said Koharu, as she looked at the boy with unease, and saw Naruto's eyes piercing into hers that made the old councilwoman feel a chill run up her spine. My abilities are mine and mine alone. That is all you need to know about me, said Naruto, as he saw the woman scowl at him, and ignored it since none of them had the power to intimidate him. Be silent, boy. You are talking to members of the governing body of this village and will show some respect to us, said Homura, as he glared at Naruto, and the blonde made the old man felt his spine want to snap in half. What I see are people talking about me with arrogance, fear, and a sliver hate mixed into their words. Why should I show respect to people who clearly speak ill of me while in their presence, and not give in to the desire to sever their heads from their bodies? Said Naruto, as his eyes glowed with an eerie light that made many people in the room tense at the power, and the Sandaime had to send a pleading look to the boy to make him stop. I will not stand for this, Hokage-sama. This boy is a threat to us if kept alive without a leash on his neck. I demand a tracker seal be placed on the boy so we can monitor his movements in and out of the village, said Danzo, as he saw several people approve of this, and the Sandaime look more tired than ever. You can't put a tracker seal on him now because I've decided to let Naruto become my new apprentice, and besides, we're going on a mission soon to get the Sandaime's own replacement as Hokage in the next few days, said Jiraiya, as he saw everyone looking at him now, and grinned at being able to redirect their thoughts on the matter at just the right time. What? Who? Said Homura, as he wanted to know just whom the Sandaime had chosen, and saw Jiraiya grin further. My old teammate, Senju Tsunade, said Jiraiya, as he saw the two councils protest, and the clan heads thinking about such an idea being beneficial to the leaf. Her? Tsunade left the leaf to drink and gamble her life away. The only reason she isn't a missing nin is because of her status as a Sanin, said Koharu, as she had never gotten along with Tsunade, and even more so when the proposal to train more medics to later go into the field to reduce casualty rates by the younger woman. Tsunade nearly went after Koharu when the Sanin learned the elderly woman had used her influence on the Shinobi Council to end notion of such a program. Perhaps, but that's why I need Naruto to come with me, and convince Tsunade to come back home to the leaf. Besides, it will further strengthen the leaf to have Tsunade back, and make any enemies we have from the other villages think twice her as the Hokage, said Jiraiya, as he saw everyone thinking the idea over, and saw his redirection of the conversation away from Naruto worked. I agree with Jiraiya. It's clear that Tsunade-sama should return to the leaf and become the new Hokage, since her skills in the field of medicine could prove to be invaluable to us. Plus, I think Tsunade-sama's policy to start her medic program should be put into motion now more than ever with what transpired during the invasion, and we need her expertise to begin started, said Hiashi, as he knew that his voice would hold a good deal of sway on the matter, and the others would listen to him. We'll deal with that once Tsunade returns. This meeting is over, said the Sandaime, as he left with Naruto and Jiraiya while leaving Danzo along with the man's puppets having angry looks on their faces. That boy is interesting. I must invite him over to the Hyuga compound to find out more for myself, thought Hiashi, as he had been warned by Neji, and then Hinata that the boy's chakra was so powerful that it blinded anyone with the Byakugan. With Naruto sometime later, Naruto hovered over the leaf, as he watched varied groups of the female populace start looking for him, and screaming out for him to appear till they could ravage him while being the mother of his child. The blonde was not pleased by the swarm of fangirls he had acquired in just a short time, as they were making things extremely difficult for him to be anywhere at any time within the village, and right now Naruto just wanted to enjoy a simple walk in the village. Was that so wrong? Finding an area to relax in, Naruto sat down for meditating like he always did, and had decided to enjoy the tranquility the place had to offer. "There he is," yelled a girl, followed by the screams of other girls, and the sound of stampeding women calling out to him. Sighing for what felt like the 100th time that day, Naruto shot up into the sky, and flew off to find another place to be alone. Naruto was grateful the mission to find Jiraiya's teammate was tomorrow, as the sooner he left to find Tsunade, the better his days would be more quiet without fangirls chasing him. After some time flying around, Naruto finally landed at a training ground where one girl, her name being Tenten if he remembered correct, who wasn't trying to chase him, and was actually training hard in being a shinobi, that she didn't sense his arrival. It wasn't surprising since the bun-haired girl had lost during the Chunin preliminaries to Tamari, who along with her siblings were allowed to return to Suna after Kankuro explained why they went along with the plan, and wanted to become allies of the leaf again. "Practicing hard with a sword, I see," said Naruto, as he decided to make small talk with Tenten, who nearly jumped out of her baggy pants, and turned around to see the blonde standing before her. "Oh, Naruto-sama. I didn't know you were there. I was training on my swordsmanship, and said Tenten, as she felt herself becoming embarrassed around him, and wondered if he was going to ask her to leave so he could train here. "I understand, Tenten-san. Your form is impressive, but I think you would do better if you had a skilled instructor to spar with, and give you the needed experience to fight against a real swordsman," said Naruto, as he summoned Masamune to his hand, and got into a lazy fighting stance. "Really? I mean, you would teach me, and help improve my skills with a sword? Even though you're better than me and I'm a girl?" said Tenten, as she had always hated how Guy had taught Lee more in terms of taijutsu. Neji had his clan, and she had to work with what she knew from what her father could teach her since he was retired Anbu. Though because of some of his injuries sustained during the last Shinobi War, Tenten's father couldn't move like he used to, and it was like a handicap to learn how to wield a sword from him. Not only that, but Tenten always felt that because she was a girl was like being a second-class citizen in terms of the shinobi world, and had always wanted to prove that being of a different gender didn't mean anything. "Why wouldn't I? You have the skill, the determination, and the drive to push yourself to the edge if not beyond your limitation. You have so many of the qualities need to become a strong shinobi, and I wouldn't be much of swordsman if I ignored such qualities," said Naruto, as he hadn't realized that Tenten was blushing up a storm at the mention of all her strengths, and was feeling something stirring within her that was not related to training. "Shall we get started then?" said Tenten, as she got into fighting position, and saw Naruto nod before tilting his sword toward himself. "Very well, but I will warn you this one time, Tenten-san, I will not take things easy on you, and I'm going to push you in every training session we have until you can't lift up your sword anymore," said Naruto, as he had learned from Sephiroth in that manner, and while his training won't be so close to the realm of being lethal compared to the Soldier Commander, it would be quite ruthless nonetheless. "I'm not afraid," said Tenten, as she had a look of determination on her face, and had to shake off the look on Naruto's face that spoke of nightmarish pain that would never be forgotten. You will be, said Naruto, as he came at Tenten, and began putting the girl through more training than she could have ever asked for. Isis weapons shop and home. 4 hours later, Naruto floated up to the second-story building and went into the open window of what appeared to be Tenten's room from what she told him in his arms on the way over before she went into unconsciousness via exhaustion from training. She had been cut up a bit, but that was to be expected, and healed her wounds when they finished before flying off to take her home. Speaking of which, when Naruto did slip into her room, the blonde placed her on the bed, and looked around the room to see it was like any other girl's room with posters on the walls. Scattered along floor were also some magazines too, but these weren't about fashionable clothing, and more centered on weapons along with how to use them. Above the window he came in, Naruto saw a poster of Tsunade, and the blonde began to decipher that this girl had found her inspiration to be a strong female shinobi through that of the female Sannin. If he were to return with Tsunade, the girl's progress would no doubt increase several times over, and Naruto saw such promise in the girl's skills that this was a mission that could not result in failure. You are becoming quite the desire for the female populace here in the Leaf, said QB, as he'd been watching his vessel's actions during their time here, and noticed that many of them of the females, fangirls aside, in the village were showing the signs of liking Naruto more than just a friend. I know QB. It's upsetting Haku and Yugito. And I've seen Kin blushing around me too from time to time, thought Naruto while leaving the Isis household, as he had seen the former sound shinobi looking at him from time to time, and acting a bit shy like a certain Hyuga girl did. She made a request to you about the red-haired girl that was a servant of Orochimaru during the invasion. What are you going to do about that? Said QB, as he knew that the Hokage made it clear that all Sound 4 shinobi were to be interrogated after Tsunade came back to the Leaf, but so many things could happen since then, and with people like Danzo now aware of his existence in the world, the old man couldn't watch over them forever. To make matters worse, Tsunade may not be so kind like the Sandaime was, and may not keep things the way they were with him being employed to the village. Tsunade could try ordering him to temporarily give up his employment in order to be studied his body like a lab rat, or have someone from the Yamanaka clan enter his mind to look at his memories, with the end result being the discovery of the Kyuubi. If that got out, then the people may act out on their fear, and force Naruto to flee with the girls right behind him, if they were not already subdued during this time, into the elemental countries. Of course, from what Jiraiya had told him about Tsunade, the woman may not want to be the Hokage for the painful past the Leaf brought her, and most likely refuse. I will cross that bridge when I get to it, thought Naruto, as he had no idea what to do with red-haired girl, according to Kin, was named Tuya, and would have to figure out how to handle her after speaking with Kin again about the redhead. Tanzuka City. A few days later, from what I've gathered from my spy network, Tsunade is here in this city gambling to her heart's content, and most likely losing what she spends no less, said Jiraiya, as he was expecting some place to get destroyed, followed by the running of a big-breasted woman, and another woman behind her holding a well-pampered pig in her arms. Strangely enough, none of those things had happened yet, and Jiraiya now wondered if the apocalypse was coming soon. Then we better hurry before she decides to flee again, said Naruto, as he walked with Jiraiya into the city, and looking through each bar for a woman that fit Tsunade's physical description. They eventually found it when Naruto instantly sensed the strongest mana source in the bar doing its best not to be sensed by anyone, and saw a certain drunk Sannin sitting at a table with another dark-haired woman holding a very pampered pig in her lap. Walking over to them, Jiraiya called out Tsunade's name, which made the said woman look up to see the toad Sannin, and then the cloaked blonde boy next to him. "What the hell are you doing here, Jiraiya?" said Tsunade, as she scowled at seeing her old teammate, and saw that silly grin on his face that she hated so much. "What? I'm your old teammate Tsunade Heim. I haven't seen you in years, since that day you left the Leaf right before helping Kushina give birth to her baby boy," said Jiraiya, as he saw Tsunade scowl at the memory, and how she was unable to save the woman due to her not being in the village sooner. "Even then, I wasn't able to save the life of someone close to me for the third time in my life, and Uzumaki Kushina's life no less. Minato would have hated me if he lived through the sealing process for the Kyuubi," said Tsunade, as she turned her attention to the boy sitting next to the super pervert, and saw his eyes narrowing back at her. "Look, Tsunade, I'm going to be blunt with you, and just explain why we are here. The third wants you back in Konoha to take over being Hokage. He's getting too old to run the village, and after the recent failed invasion done by Orochimaru along with certain other factors, the councils are questioning his mental state," said Jiraiya, as he saw the woman raise an eyebrow, since only a medical professional could do that, and considering the state the hospital was in when she left, she'd sooner trust an inmate at an asylum. "The old man was able to run the Leaf Village when I wasn't there, Jiraiya, and I'm sure he can hold out another few years without me. Besides, he has you now from what you have indicated about the invasion done by our old teammate, and I think the Leaf is strong enough with just one Sannin in it," said Tsunade, as she took a sip of some sake, and saw some of Jiraiya's smile leave his face. "Yeah, but like you, I don't want the job since I'm not Hokage material, and you are, since it's quite literally in your blood. On a more serious note, if you don't return Tsunade, then the councils will elect a new Hokage, which I think will most likely be Danzo, and you know the kind of things he'll do to the village with those mindless puppets he has on the two councils that he uses to get his way," said Jiraiya, as he saw Tsunade's face become a deep scowl on her face, and Naruto saw she was ready to crush her cup in her hand. "Even so, my decision stand, Jiraiya. Why should I go back to a place where all my bad memories are? Dan. Nawaki. They both died for the Leaf Village, and both of them wanted to be Hokage because it was their dream. Being a Hokage is for fools, who wish to die young, and the Yondaime was proof of that when he took on the Kyuubi," said Tsunade, as she didn't want to hear any more of this discussion, and got up to leave for the door. She was stopped instantly in her tracks by a strong grip on her arm by the hand of one Uzumaki Naruto, who looked her dead in the eyes, and made the Sannin freeze at the storm of power the boy's eyes held. They spoke of blood, death, fighting countless battles on some distant battlefield, and held little to no tolerance for those that were not on good terms with him. You speak of bad memories, but what you fail to realize, is that by running away from the leaf, you dishonor their memory, and the memory of your grandfather. Is that how the Senju clan will be remembered? Not for the founding of Konoha, but the cowardice the granddaughter of the Shodaime showed in not returning to the leaf when it needed her the most, and all because of bad memories? Said Naruto, as he saw Tsunade now becoming angry at his words, and pulled her arm away from him. How dare you? Jiraiya, who is this little brat? Some student of yours? I thought after the Yondaime died, you swore off taking on another apprentice, and left to go peep on women for your research for your books? Said Tsunade, as she saw Jiraiya look a bit sheepish, and Naruto left the table to stand right in front of the Sannin. The name is Uzumaki Naruto, said Naruto, as he saw Tsunade's eyes widen, and so did the other woman while the pig was whimpering at sensing the boy's power since they first arrived. Uzumaki? Jiraiya, is he the son of? Said Tsunade, as she saw Jiraiya nod his head, and then turned back to the boy standing a few steps in front of her. The Sandaime spoke so highly of you, Tsunade-san. He said you were the best at healing wounds that no one else could. How your medical skills were second to none. However, from what I see standing before me, is not the person the Sandaime spoke of, but rather a shell of her former self, and is clearly unfit for the duties a Hokage should perform. It's no wonder the old councilwoman Koharu wants you to stay away from the village since it's clear she finds you lacking the means to be Hokage, said Naruto, as he saw Tsunade's eyes narrow dangerously at his words, and even more so when he mentioned Koharu not wanting her to be Hokage. Oh really? A shell of my former self you say? Fine you little brat, fight me outside, and I will show you just how much of a gap there is between us, said Tsunade, as she saw her assistant Shizune looking at her with pleading eyes not to start trouble. I do not agree there is a gap between us in skills, Tsunade-san, but it's not in the way you think, and given your drunken state, the gap is noticeably wider, said Naruto, as he saw Tsunade's eyes widen, and then narrow with seething anger at what he was implying. Outside Gaki. Now, said Tsunade, as she was not going to take this crap from some kid looking like some sorcerer, and thinking he can hurt her with harsh words. Tsunade-sama, I don't think that is wise, the boy seems really powerful, and you're not exactly sober right now, said Shizune, as she followed her teacher outside of the bar, and soon stood on the sidelines with Jiraiya while Naruto stood now some 10 feet across from Tsunade. Stay out of this, Shizune. Come on brat. I may be slightly inebriated by the sake, but I can still kick this Gaki's butt back to the leaf, and I will do it with just one finger, said Tsunade, as she smirked while holding up her hand with one finger extended, and it was clear she was trying to bait Naruto into attacking first. Such foolishness. Jiraiya, you may have to tell the Sandaime we failed our mission when we returned to the leaf, and explain to him how I had to kill his former student because of her arrogance in fighting me with just one finger. Bind. Said Naruto, as he trapped the woman in that single spot much to the surprise of the two witnesses watching, and of course Tsunade herself since she didn't think such a thing was possible. Naruto then summoned his sword to his hand and then hovered off the ground with his one wing appearing now before flying at Tsunade at incredible speed with his sword in mid-swing. Shizune was screaming for Tsunade to move, Jiraiya was telling Naruto not to strike her down, and the pig was squealing out in horror at seeing her own about to die. I can't die here. I don't want to die. Thought Tsunade, as Naruto was now upon her, and the Nadachi class sword getting closer to taking the Sannin's head clean off before she closed her eyes in fear. For the longest of seconds that Tsunade could remember, nothing happened to her body, as there was no pain, and only the feeling of cold smooth steel from Naruto's sword now pressing against the side of her neck. Opening her eyes, Tsunade looked at Naruto's cold eyes that matched the blade pressing against her neck, and saw the boy still had that look that told her she was lucky he hadn't gone through with the strike. I want you to remember moment Senju Tsunade. I want you to remember how your own show of drunken arrogance nearly cost you and that I held your life in my hands, said Naruto, as he removed his sword from the flesh of her neck, and sent the weapon away before canceling the bind spell on her, allowing the Sannin to fall the ground shaking at the realization of how close she was to death. Why? Why did you spare me? Said Tsunade, as she looked up at Naruto walking away, and saw him stop before looking back at her. Because Tsunade-san, there are still some people in the leaf, who still hold your skills in high regard, and I would be disappointing them if I ended your life rather than let you come home to make it be of better use. You may not like the title of Hokage or the bad memories the leaf brings you, but bad memories are just that, and if you focus on the good times with the people you were with, then the bad memories aren't as powerful, said Naruto, as he walked away, and left the three shinobi to do whatever it is they would do when together. With Naruto some time later, the boy sat in the middle of a clear he had made from training, as mediation was a means to find his center during these growingly chaotic times, and sensed the light footsteps of Shizune walking towards him. Naruto could tell by her heart rate, her breathing, and the tensing of Shizune muscles with each step she took towards him that the woman was very much afraid, and wanted to turn back if not for her sense of duty to Tsunade. When she was about 10 feet away from Naruto, the blonde opened his eyes, and looked directly at Shizune's pale-looking face before looking at her right hand to see a slip of paper in it. "T Tsunade-sama wished me to give you this and Naruto-sama," said Shizune, as she had heard what Naruto had done for the leaf before, and during the invasion itself by Jiraiya with the part about summoning a giant dragon making both women go pale. Naruto rose from his mediation and walked up to Shizune and took the slip of paper from the woman before reading its contents carefully. "Tsunade-san could have done this herself. Why did she send you instead?" said Naruto, as he saw Shizune fidget under his gaze, and wanted an answer to his question. "Because she's too ashamed of herself. After what you said, Tsunade-sama needed some time to reflect on her past decision, and wanted to make a bet with you in regards to her decision to return to the leaf to become the next Hokage," said Shizune, as Naruto nodded his head before looking at the paper again, and reread the contents behind it in regards to the bet itself. "What's so special about the necklace she willing to offer me? From what I understand from Jiraiya on the way over to this city, it has some history regarding her loved ones, and part of the reason Tsunade has bad memories," said Naruto, as he saw what she wrote down in terms of the bet she wanted to make with him, and while he accepted the bet, it was also quite stupid given what was being wagered. It belonged to Tsunade-sama's grandfather and the value of it is enough to buy several mountains. She does not wager this at all because the last time that stone was around anyone else's neck but hers, they die, said Shizune, as she saw Naruto raise an eyebrow at the supposed idea of there being a cursed necklace, but then again it wasn't that far-fetched given his own powers, and the various summons of Gaia he could bring to this world. "Tell Tsunade-san that I accept this bet of hers and be ready to surrender that necklace to me when this is over," said Naruto, as he saw Shizune looking at him nervously before she leaving, and letting the blonde return to his mediation after he looked at the note again one more time. "Hey Gaki. Jiraiya told me about how you are learning the Rasengan now, as well as how Danzo wanted to bleed you dry for what knowledge you possessed, and I wanted to see if you were willing to gamble for a chance at something I have that no one else has been strong enough to hold on to. If you can master the Rasengan in 3 days' time, I will give you my grandfather's necklace, and become the Hokage of the leaf. However, if you fail, you must submit to a full body examination, and have a member of the Yamanaka clan mind dive into your head to learn all the secrets you possess. P.S. Personally, between the two of us, I'm actually hoping you win, and prove me wrong about this damn thing." Senju Tsunade burning the small paper into ash, Naruto then scattered it into the four winds, and went deep into mediation to study the Rasengan in his mind before his body could use it. The bet was on. 2 days later, "I haven't seen Naruto in a few days. Shouldn't you be helping him?" said Tsunade, as she saw Jiraiya laugh at the concept of him helping Naruto when the boy made both Sannin look like preschool children, and had an IQ that rivaled the Nara clan. "With the exception of the laziness of course. The kid is doing fine without me. I just showed him the first step and he got it within the hour since it was so easy to do. The second part took him by the end of that day to fully understand since I showed him the second stage with a rubber ball. To be perfectly honest Tsunade-heim, I'm waiting for him to come through that door with that cold face of his, and show you the Rasengan in his hand with the other stretched out for the necklace," said Jiraiya, as he saw Tsunade scowl, and Shizune looking worried since Naruto was expected back at any time now with a day left before the bet ended. "Doesn't matter. Win or lose, I'm still heading back to the leaf to be the Hokage, and whip the place back into shape," said Tsunade, as she saw Jiraiya shake his head, and smile knowing the cruel torture that awaited the people in the leaf. "I'm sure Naruto will enjoy hearing that and so will the large army of love-struck girls that wish to have his kids," said Jiraiya, as he let out a perverted giggle, and ignored the angry look Tsunade was giving him. "Large army of love-struck girls?" said Tsunade, as she wanted Jiraiya to explain that, and hoped her old teammate didn't corrupt the boy into being like him. "Well, you see, he's already got 3 girls living with him, several slightly older women after him, and a whole army of hero-worshipping fangirls chasing him all over the village whenever he's in their sights. The boy's a regular babe magnet," said Jiraiya, as he saw Tsunade scowl at that, and hated how fangirls had overpopulated the village. And the ability to fly with or without the one wing? Said Shizune, as she had never seen anyone possess something like that, and wondered if it was a bloodline of sorts. He's able to fly using some form of spell of his when without using the wing, but it is a recently newly acquired thing after he summoned that huge dragon of his, and it could be considered a new bloodline of sorts, said Jiraiya, since the village's own CRA laws was something that would allow Naruto to have multiple wives and further secure the boy in the village. I'll have to talk to Sarutobi-sensei about it, but I think we can make that happen, and use it to have Naruto consider staying employed within the leaf, said Tsunade, as she saw a great deal of potential in the boy, and his power was not something to take lightly. A sudden spike in chakra ruined any continuation of such thoughts, as the three shinobi sensed a battle going on outside of the city, and rushed to investigate the matter. With Naruto at the moment, Uzumaki Naruto, we have orders from the Raikage to bring you to Kumo to be punished for your transgressions in stealing the Nibi vessel, and slaying the Kumo search team sent to retrieve her, said a Kumo Anbu captain, as word had gotten out about the one-tailed demon vessel Subaku no Gara being defeated by a large demon cat with two tails, and instantly the Raikage knew it was Yugito. It had taken some time for the Raikage to look into the matter, but apparently the credit for the capture of Kumo's weapon was a boy named Uzumaki Naruto, and now she was rumored to be living with him in the leaf. It had angered the Raikage so much, he had ordered 3 Anbu battle groups be deployed to find Naruto, and bring him back to be punished for his crimes against Kumo. You are making a mistake, said Naruto, as he was on his way to show Tsunade he had mastered the Rasengan, but was now surrounded by this enemy, and could tell they would rather kill him now than bring him back to Kumo for what he did to their comrades. Not from where we're standing. Take him, said the Kumo Anbu captain, as his men charged Naruto, and expected to take the boy easily. How foolish they all were to even think that. Naruto sliced through one Kumo Anbu, dodged another shinobi, sliced through the side of another's hip, severed a right arm, took off another's left leg, and took 3 heads off before performing spin kick that snapped a Kumo Anbu lieutenant's head upon contact. One of the Kumo shinobi tried to match the blonde in terms of the sword, but Naruto's strength, which was nearly equal to Tsunade's, broke the blade instantly on contact, and then finished off the Kumo swordsman by slicing the man down the middle. Lightning style, lightning dragon jutsu, said the Kumo Anbu captain, as he shot a lightning jutsu at Naruto, who extended his left hand, and spun around with the jutsu in his hand before redirecting it at a group of Kumo Anbu too shocked at his actions to even defend themselves. As I said, you are making a mistake, said Naruto, as he threw his sword now spinning through the air, cutting through limbs and bodies of Kumo Anbu before hitting the one Kumo Anbu right in the skull with the tip of sword next to the leader of this group. We can't return without you, boy, and I will not go back to my Raikage as a failure so I can die at his hand if not my own for my disgrace, said the Kumo Anbu captain, as he launched himself at Naruto, who formed an orb in his hand that swirled with power, and thrust into the shinobi's body, causing the masked man to explode dozens of pieces. By the end of it, the large group of Kumo Anbu force sent by the Raikage were either dead or dying on the ground around Naruto, and the boy didn't even flinch at the sheet carnage he had created. When Jiraiya, Tsunade, and Shizune arrived, they were shocked to see bodies with pieces from the bodies all around them, with Naruto at the center. It was here that Naruto's claim at the title of being the Black Angel of Death held true, as did indeed look like that right now, and Tsunade wondered what horrible people had been responsible for turning the blonde into this taker of life. I won our bet fairly, Senju Tsunade. Time pay up as per our agreement, said Naruto, as he extended his hand slightly covered in blood from the body of the Kumo Anbu captain he killed with the Rasengan, and it made Tsunade feel a bit unnerved by the slightly stained hand. It could have been worse. I could have won and something bad happens to me later, thought Tsunade, as she took off the necklace, and gave it to Naruto, currently taking off the hood of his cloak before placing the item on his person. Strange. It feels like it's supposed to be around my neck, thought Naruto, as he felt the gem's strange power around his person, and Kyubi felt it too. Interesting indeed. So long as its strange power doesn't weaken you, I see no problem having with it around your neck, said Kyubi, as he saw Naruto nod mentally, and go back to the physical world where the others were looking at the damage the blonde had caused. Well, I guess I'm going to be the new Hokage of Konoha, and my first official act is we have a party after my coronation, said Tsunade, as she shot her fist into the air, and the smaller blonde before her raised an eyebrow like she was nuts. Things are going to change in the leaf, but the real question now is, what do we gain from this change? Said Kyubi, and his vessel nodded in agreement, since this changing of the guard also changed the playing field of his very life. Also, I need to give you a medical checkup when we return to the village, Naruto. I know you don't want one since you are a very private person, But you are employed as a part of the forces of the Leaf, and I have to make sure everyone in it has a clean bill of health, said Tsunade, as she saw Naruto look at her with displeased eyes, but relented to her form of reasoning since it wouldn't be that bad, and she wasn't out to dissect him like Danzo wanted. Very well, but I doubt you'll find anything wrong with me, said Naruto, as he had been a perfectly healthy individual since he was born, and trained to fight on the battlefield back in Midgar. True, but at least this way, I can find out why there are so many girls going gaga over Yugaki, thought Tsunade, as she looked to Shizune, who was trying hard not to blush from seeing Naruto's face, and was currently avoiding her teacher's eyes. Oh yeah, being in Konoha was going to be a lot of fun, and Tsunade knew it was going to be worse than any debt collectors she ran from. Chapter 7 Enter Akatsuki. The group walked into the village like conquering heroes, as they headed for the Hokage Tower to address the Sandaime, and the rest of the governing body of Konoha. As they walked towards their intended destination, Naruto noticed the looks of surprise, and the awe at seeing the granddaughter of the Shodaime walking by. Even more so was seeing Naruto beside her, as it was indicated to everyone that he would be the one to bring her back after so many years away from the Leaf, and now here she was thanks to the spiky-haired blonde hero. Amongst the populace, various groups of Naruto fangirls waited for the moment the boy would be alone so they could all try to get their hands on him, and ravage him to the point of draining him dry. Naruto of course saw them, but chose to ignore them since he did not care for such individuals, and focused on the mission at hand to get Tsunade to the Hokage Tower. You saw them too? Whispered Shizune, as she saw Tsunade nod with a frown, and then looked silently at Naruto walking next to her while Jiraiya just giggled behind her while writing in that damn book of his. This is pure genius. The handsome blonde warrior returns to his village, victorious in his mission to bring back its princess, and is rewarded with a large group of women to give him pleasure beyond imagining. This is gold, said Jiraiya, as he began writing before being punched right in the face by a fuming Tsunade, and went through 2 buildings before hitting solid wall that left an imprint of his body on it. Baka, said Tsunade, as she had a few tick marks on her face, and saw Naruto looking back at her with a raised eyebrow before looking at Shizune. Are these two always like this before they left the Leaf? Said Naruto, as he saw Shizune nod sheepishly, and the pig Tauntaun did the same. Yeah. You should have seen what happened when Jiraiya got caught peeping in the hot springs with Tsunade there when they were kids. She beat him within an inch of his life, said Shizune, as she saw Naruto look impressed at that, and seemed to find some form of respect for the slug Sannin. Are you two done talking? I'd like to get to the Hokage Tower before I start to show my age, said Tsunade, agitated by the two talking about her and Jiraiya when they were kids. Very well, said Naruto, as grabbed Tsunade's wrist, and then Shizune's with the latter blushing at the contact before the two vanished instantly. Hokage Tower. Hokage's office. The Sandaime sighed heavily, as he gazed at the paperwork in front of him, and wished that Tsunade would get here so she could become the new Hokage while freeing him of doing this. I mean, the invasion, while stopped, had generated a lot of paperwork, and it was eating up the old Cage's time being with his grandson. That, and he wanted to read the latest Icha Paradise issue that was out. Such thoughts, of both family and perverted nature, were put on hold, as he saw Naruto appear in front of him with 2 nauseous women, who ran to the nearest window, and puked the contents of their stomachs out of it. After emptying their stomachs onto the ground below, and unknowingly on Jiraiya, the 2 women were surprised that they had arrived so quickly at their destination before Tsunade glared before pointing an accusing finger at Naruto. You could have brought us here faster after I agreed to come back. Why didn't you do that instead of making us travel for several days back to Konoha? Said Tsunade, as she saw Naruto raise an eyebrow, and then shrug at her. You never asked Tsunade-san. Jiraiya knew, but I assumed he told you, but you wanted to travel on foot, and kept quiet about it, said Naruto, as he saw Tsunade getting angry at that, but found it was her fault too since she didn't ask Naruto, and made a mental note to hurt Jiraiya for not telling her that tidbit of info. Fine. Let's get this thing over with. Summon the 2 councils, clan heads, and anyone else that needs to be at this thing to make it official, said Tsunade, as she really wished for a drink right now, and saw the Sandaime chuckle at her actions. Meeting room sometime later. Tsunade-sama, it's good to have you back in the village, said Danzo, as he kept much of his sarcasm out of his voice, and was trying to figure out how to get this woman under his thumb. From what I heard from Naruto, a few of you don't want me back, and for one of the few reasons that I left from the start, said Tsunade, as she glared at Koharu, and saw the old woman was looking at her with a cold glare back. You would trust some child over us when it comes to believing we think so little of you? Clearly your time away from the village has done little to improve your intelligence, said Koharu, as she saw Tsunade narrow her eyes, and the Sannin's hands turning to fists. From the way you spoke just now, I would sooner trust Naruto to watch my back than you, Koharu-san, said Tsunade, as she saw the old woman scowling further, and causing the wrinkles on the shinobi councilwoman's face increase greatly. Speaking of Naruto, we have been trying to get the boy to undergo a physical exam of sorts, but the contract he has with the Sandaime prevents that, and we were hoping that the boy would change his mind for you given your medical skills are second to none, said Danzo, as he wanted to get his hands on that knowledge to see if he could take it, and incorporate it into his root program. We've already discussed it. Danzo and Naruto has agreed to undergo a physical at the hospital provided that only myself along with Shizune are allowed to access such private records, said Tsunade, as she saw Danzo frown at that, and knew the man had ulterior motives to wanting Naruto to have the physical. We also want Naruto to have his mind looked at by Inoki to see if the boy is mentally stable, since the reports on his activities while in the Leaf Show he has been through a lot of heavy combat situations, though rare are still intense, said Homura, as the last thing the Leaf needed was another Itachi incident on a much larger scale. That is up to Naruto. From what I've seen, the boy mentally stable as he is intelligent, and you should respect his privacy in this matter, said Tsunade, as she saw the Shinobi Council frowning, and the Civilian Council looking nervous since they didn't really have a position to stand on with this. If I am no longer needed for this meeting, I am going, said Naruto, as he felt that his presence would only cause waves, and such things were not needed in his life. Wait. You are not going anywhere, boy, said Danzo, as he snapped his fingers, and several Root Onbu came out to restrain the blonde. Root was supposed to be disbanded, Danzo, said Tsunade, as she saw the man smirk at her, and didn't like it. It was, but these are part of my own private security force, and right now this boy is a threat to myself along with Konoha, said Danzo, as his shinobi moved to take Naruto away for interrogation before transferring the blonde to his root reprogramming center, and make the boy his prized weapon. What happened next shocked them all. Naruto moved with lethal skills, as he broke the arm of one Root Onbu, broke the leg of the second, and elbowed the first in the face with enough force to snap the neck. Then, to make his skills further known, Naruto killed the second Root Onbu with a palm thrust right through the man's skull, sending scattered brains onto the wall connected to the door, and the look in his eyes told everyone he really didn't care that he just did that. The only threat to Konoha inside this room, Danzo-san, is you, said Naruto, as he gave the man a heavy stare, and saw Danzo sweating heavily under his gaze before leaving the room. As the newly appointed Hokage of Konoha, the Shinobi Council orders you to arrest that boy, and interrogate him for all information pertaining to his life before coming here to Konoha, said Koharu, as she decided to throw the Shinobi Council's weight around, and expected the woman to crumble under her command. What Koharu got was a laugh from Tsunade. You? You are commanding me? What a joke you are. I'd sooner kiss Jiraiya with my tongue shoved down his throat than listen to you. As I recall, the Shinobi Council are the advisors to the Hokage, and nothing more than that. You advise me on actions, but other than that, I don't have to act on them at all, and to say otherwise would be bordering on treason, said Tsunade, as she saw Koharu scowl back at her, and knew this was just the beginning of the two of them butting heads on matters. He attacked by private security force, said Danzo, as he wanted that boy in his root program, and he wanted him now. You provoked him, Danzo, and if you keep this up I will do my own investigation aimed at you, said Tsunade, as she shut the crippled man up, and decided to conclude business with them for the day before focusing on Naruto. Konoha Hospital 1 week later. You don't have to do this if you don't want to, Naruto-kun, said Haku, as she was now beside him while heading to the room for his physical, and was concerned for his well-being. It's alright, Haku-chan. This is something I must do. If I don't, the people will begin to shun, and fear me for acting this way. Besides, I trust the Leaf's new Hokage to do her job in a professional manner, and keep whatever it is she finds about me a secret from those who would abuse it, said Naruto, as he saw Haku nod, but he knew she was still concerned for him, and it felt nice. I wish to wait outside the room, if that is all right with you, Naruto-kun? Said Haku, as she wished to be by his side at any given moment, and help him understand what it was she felt for him. You could never displease me, Haku-chan. I also don't mind you waiting on your own accord for me, said Naruto, as he looked at her to see Haku smiling at him with a trace of a pink hue, and found the various muscles around his mouth moving slightly to form a small, almost unnoticeable smile. Hey Gaki. Being escorted in by your girlfriend? Said Tsunade, as she saw Haku's face turn a small bit of crimson, and Naruto tilted his head slightly as he was trying to fully understand the meaning of that last word. Yes, said Naruto, since he had no real reason to lie, since Haku was a girl and was also a friend, he supposed was the term he could use for her. Oh, the poor blonde boy and his lack of understanding in regards to the opposite sex. Well, in any case I need you in this room for your physical, and Shizune is going to help me since I have a feeling your physical makeup is going to cause me a headache later, said Tsunade, as she saw Naruto nod, but Haku narrowed her eyes at the younger of the two women in front of her, Naruto-kun, and saw the hinted signs of things beyond that of a medical reason at being near the blonde. Very well, said Naruto, as he walked into the room with the two women behind him, and ignored the warning look Haku was giving Shizune. Okay. Naruto, first thing we're going to go is run a few simple tests, which will require that you temporarily remove your clothes, and then take a little bit of blood to have on record, said Tsunade, as she saw the blonde nod, and begin to remove his upper clothing first before removing the lower portion. Wow. He's really muscled, thought Shizune, as she saw the line of sheer muscle that ran through Naruto's body, and saw this kid took his training seriously. Black Crimson boxers? I know the many fangirls will be proud to find out about that choice, thought Tsunade, as she put chakra to her hands, and began running her hands over his body while checking for abnormalities behind it. It's surprising that Naruto's not embarrassed or aroused that two beautiful women are looking him over while being half naked. Most boys or men would feel that way in his situation, thought Shizune, as she saw the lines of various scars Naruto-sensei had given the blonde to become this strong, and wondered who that cruel sadist was so she could kick his ass for putting all those injuries on a child. Interesting. The muscles on Naruto have been active since his birth, and it looks like he has been practically trained to be in constant combat since he was born. Who did this to him? Thought Tsunade, as she saw nothing physically wrong with Naruto, but how that happened to be was something she would not ethically approve of in her medical opinion, and saw the various scars from sword fights the boy clearly didn't win. If you are wondering about the scars, they are from my teacher during training, and they are nothing to be concerned about, said Naruto, as he felt her looking at his scars now, and saw Shizune also gazing at him too while writing things down on a clipboard. What kind of response is that? These are lethal strikes meant to kill. This boy was quite literally trained to survive anything, thought Shizune, as she saw each of the muscles that Naruto's body had before Tsunade's hands rested on his stomach, which resulted in the seal holding the kyuubi being revealed to them, and it was then that Naruto's body tensed with every muscle looking like it was getting ready to act if the slug Sannin tried to do anything to it in an instant. This seal is so complex. Only someone of Jiraiya or even Minato's level could make such a complex design. Is this what Jiraiya told me about? Is this what's holding the kyuubi back? Thought Tsunade, as she sensed Naruto's eyes now on her, and she could tell that if she so much as twitched her finger in the wrong direction would result in the boy doing something rather violent. Please take your hands away from that seal, said Naruto calmly, but you could clearly tell that there was a deadly warning behind his words, and Tsunade slowly followed with his request before looking at him with sorrow. I'm sorry you had to be placed with the burden of the fox, said Tsunade, as she saw the boy look at her with a raised eyebrow, and wondered if Naruto understood the weight he carried inside of him. The fox has never been a burden. We act as one. We have for years, said Naruto, as she saw Tsunade look surprised by his statement, and so did Shizune with a hint of fear in their eyes. Has the fox ever influenced your mind? Off the record of course, said Tsunade, as she needed to find out if the kyuubi had made Naruto into this emotionally stunted boy, and if so had the greatest desire to enter that seal to rip out all 9 of those tails. No. Though we act as one, I do not always act on all the things kyuubi has suggested in the past, and the fox respects my wishes in that regard, said Naruto, as he felt kyuubi inside of him nodding at this, and knew this was the best way for them to be unstoppable. I see. Well, aside from scars on your body, you are in perfect health, Naruto, and I just need to draw some blood to have on record, said Tsunade, as she went to get a needle to draw blood, and saw a look of concern on Shizune's face. Tsunade-sama, is it right to keep the fox a secret from the councils, and the clan heads for that matter? I mean, the kyuubi could be manipulating Naruto, and he may not even know it, said Shizune in a whisper, as she looked discreetly at Naruto, and the boy didn't seem to care. And you think we should tell them? You saw how those fools acted regarding Naruto the way he is now. If they had found out about the boy when he was born, do you think Naruto would be any better off? The village would have crucified him, or Danzo would have tried to get his old hands on him for Kami knows what. I don't like how the boy turned out, Shizune, but the way things are now, I prefer this alternative, and I'm going to help the Gaki get some form of humanity in him. You saw the Haku girl with him, it's clear that she cares for Naruto, and can help bring him out of this emotional ice age he's in, said Tsunade, as she had heard from the Sandaime in private about Haku, Yugito, and recently Kin currently living under the same roof. I suppose. Still, if it somehow gets out that Naruto is the kyuubi's jailer, we could get in serious trouble for not reporting it, and not even the fact you are the granddaughter of the Shodan will stop the harsh punishment that will befall us, said Shizune, as she didn't want her teacher to get in trouble, and because of this emotionally challenged boy. Just deny knowing such information about me, said Naruto, as he made Shizune jump up, nearly hitting the ceiling in fright at hearing his words, and saw the nervous woman looking back at him. Are you sure? Said Tsunade, as she knew that by doing this, it would put him out there alone against the councils, and the clan heads if they felt Naruto was a threat to the Leaf Village. Positive, said Naruto, as he saw Tsunade nod in understanding before coming back to face him with the needle in hand, and prepared to remove some blood from the vein in his right arm. Alright, but it could lead to problems in the near future, Naruto, said Tsunade, as she saw the blonde nod in understanding, and didn't flinch when she injected the needle to extract the blood. I have been aware of this and prepared for such things should it happen, said Naruto, as he waited patiently for Tsunade to extract his crimson glowing blood, and saw the woman look at with surprised eyes. That's interesting. It looks like chakra is mixed into his blood, thought Tsunade, as she had finished up, and took the vial of blood from the needle before looking at with her keen perceptive eyes. If that is all, I will take my leave, said Naruto, as he had his clothes on his body in an instant, and headed for the door. The blood is glowing like it's full of life. Have you ever seen anything like this, Tsunade-sama? Said Shizune, as she too stared at the glowing red vial of blood, and saw Tsunade currently frowning. No. It is something to behold. Put this away and make sure it's in a place only the two of us have access to. Something tells me that this could be trouble if it got into the hands of someone like Danzo, said Tsunade, as she gave the vial to Shizune, who put it in a small sealing scroll, and placed it in the medical folder with a seal. Both women put both their blood on so only they could access it. With Naruto at the moment, I'm so glad that is over, Naruto-kun. I saw an entire army of fangirls around the hospital searching for you with cameras in the hopes of seeing you without clothing, said Haku, as she knew that the instant it got out that Naruto was having a physical, the fangirls that wanted the blonde would be out in force, and want her boy. They all had Snowball's chance in hell of being with him while Haku was still alive and breathing. I imagine so. I will never understand the need for them to be so obsessed with me, said Naruto, as he turned to Haku, and saw her looking down the road at something with a frown. Following Haku's line of sight, Naruto soon mimicked her facial expression, as they saw a bunch of drunken villagers currently hassling Kin in the market district. Apparently, it had also gotten out that the former Sound Shinobi was staying in Konoha after defecting just prior to the invasion, but despite that fact, some people felt that people like Kin did not deserve to be treated nicely, and wanted her to know it too. Stupid girl. What do you think you're doing here in the Leaf? Go back to Sound where the other pieces of shit go to rot, said one person, as he pushed Kin, who was currently holding groceries in her hands, and fell over while losing the groceries in the process. For Kin, being in the Leaf was fine when people didn't know she once served the shinobi village that invaded Konoha, and the place the Sandaime placed her in for protection was not bad either. She had been surprised when the old cage had placed her with the ever-infamous Uzumaki Naruto and two other girls living with him that were also hiding out from certain places outside the Leaf. Kin also wasn't going to deny that she was from the very beginning a bit jumpy around Naruto, as she had heard the rumors about him that Orochimaru got from his spies, and then seeing him in person was something else altogether. However, as time progressed, however short of a time it was, Kin had found that Naruto was very nice, a bit cold at first, but nice all the same, and didn't mind her staying in his bed while he apparently didn't sleep at all until the changes to the house were made so she had her own room. Haku and Yugito were a bit peeved at that since they wouldn't have minded that Naruto slept with them in their beds. Platonically, of course. In any case, Naruto had done everything within his power to make Kin's new life easier, and had put her in charge of the cleaning the house while still having time for shinobi training. However, when the invasion ended, someone among the Leaf rookies had mentioned her being a former Sound Shinobi since they saw her during the Chunin exam preliminaries, and now made her a target for the bitter people of the Konoha. What is going on here? Said Naruto, as he walked towards the group of civilians, and two shinobi with them while Kin got off the ground before gathering up the scattered items. Naruto-sama? This isn't what it looks like, said one of the shinobi in the group with the rank of Chunin and was looking a bit pale in the blonde's presence. Really? So I just imagine this group you are currently with did not push Tsuchi-kin to the ground? Do you take me to be a fool, Chunin? Said Naruto, as his voice was low, deep, and had a lethal tone to it that told the shinobi before him to speak carefully for the next few words spoken could be his last. And no, I mean why yes, I mean, this girl shouldn't, forgive me Naruto-sama, said the Chunin, who saw the blonde bring forth Muramasa to his right hand, and had looked for zero patience right now. This girl, as you decided to call her, defected to us before the invasion started, and had begged for the protection of the leaf. This girl's name is Tsuchi Kin Dear Chonin, and it is because of her that we learned various details about the invasion Orochimaru had set up for the leaf. She is also lives with me, as my honored guest, and to insult Kin for once being a part of the Sound Village is an insult aimed at myself. So tell me, Chonin of the leaf, why should I spare you my wrath? Why should I even show you even the smallest amount of mercy for what you were supporting with them? Said Naruto, as he pointed to the civilians trying to flee, and the second shinobi, one with the rank of Jounin, trying to do the same. Please don't hurt me. I'm sorry. Really, I am very sorry for helping them hurt her, said the Chonin, as he had seen what Naruto could do with that blade, and heard the stories behind it too. The man did not want to be on the receiving end of the blade. It's not me you should be apologizing to right now, said Naruto, as his eyes turned to Kin, who was shocked to see him defending her, and then at the Chonin getting on his knees bowing to her while stammering out apology after apology. Unbeknownst to the people watching this event, two people across the street at a nearby restaurant wearing straw hats with bells, and black cloaks with red clouds looked at the blonde boy with interest. They had been ordered by Pain to bring the boy to him for possible membership since Orochimaru was dead and the ring the Sannin wore during his time with the organization had been recovered. That's him? He doesn't look like much. Right, Itachi? Said the taller of the two, as he watched with his much smaller partner in crime, and saw the man's eyes look at Naruto with caution. Do not underestimate him, Kisame. You saw the report our spies in Kumo gave us. This boy killed high-level Kumo Anbu without difficulty and has the power to summon at his command multiple summons, with one of them being a great dragon that could destroy anyone in its path. There is a reason Pain-sama wants this boy to be a part of Akatsuki, and we need to do it carefully. If we provoke this Uzumaki Naruto, it could lead to him being our enemy, and the organization does not need this boy as our enemy, said Uchiha Itachi, as he saw Kisame nod, and eyeing the sword in the blonde's hand with interest. I hear he killed Zabuza with that sword in his hands. That's no small thing to do. I hear the kid wields that thing with a grace that surpasses even the most skilled swordsman. Do you think we can turn him? Said Kisame, as it took the right way to get someone to leave a village for the organization, and needed to push them into wanting to leave of their own free will. It won't be easy. We'll watch the boy a little longer and then confront him when the time is right, said Itachi, as he knew that when word got out of his return to the leaf, it would bring about his brother, and he didn't need that right now. And so the two watched, as Kin accepted the man's apology, thanked Naruto for helping her, and saw the blonde walk away while Haku helped her housemate home. Inuzuka clan home. Sometime later, Inuzuka Hana was cleaning the kennels of her clan home, as it was her job the day after Kiba was apparently caught peeping in the hot springs with another pervert, and was now in the hospital after being beaten quite badly by the women on the other side. Hana for her part growled at her little brother's stupidity and made a mental note to make Kiba pay for this in the end. The dogs in the kennels, cleaned or yet to be cleaned, were acting a bit noisy today, but Hana had ignored it since they probably saw a cat, and wanted to chase after it. As she worked on the kennel section in front of her, Hana soon heard her dogs whimpering, and turned to find Uzumaki Naruto of all people walking into the kennel. Is this the Inuzuka clan home? Said Naruto, as he had been told this was where the clan was located, and saw the dogs though he had to check. Yes, it is. My name is Inuzuka Hana. Can I help you, Naruto-san? Said Hana, as she saw the blonde looking at the kennels, and then at her while the dogs around them were acting submissive to his presence. Hana couldn't blame them for acting that way, as she could practically feel Naruto's aura of dominate authoritative power that made her want to act the same way, and saw the boy getting closer with each passing second. In her mind, Hana saw herself staring at an alpha male to end all alphas, and it was sending sensations down her spine that she had never felt before. Possibly. I was thinking of getting a dog for my housemates, but I need one in particular that will not hostile to cats, or at the very least be able to get along with a feline member of the species, said Naruto, as he wanted to get a surprise for the girls, but knew because of Yugito's tenet that dogs weren't favored, and needed a dog that would be respectful of the girl. I don't know if we have one like that, Naruto-san. I could check my records, but it could take some time, and as you can see I am working on cleaning the kennels for the dogs right now. If you could come back at a later time, I would be able to determine what dog we have that would be suitable, and feline friendly per your request, said Hana, as she felt her body burning up with the longer he stood there looking at each dog with critical eyes that made each dog lay down submissively the instant he made eye contact with them. Thank you. I'll be back in a few days to inspect the group you've chosen for me to look at, said Naruto, as he looked at her now, and Hana was using all her willpower not to fall on her knees to act submissive to his presence right now, and present herself as his future mate. Why yes and Naruto-sama, said Hana, as she saw him walk off, and when the blonde was out of sight she fell to the ground exhausted while moaning slightly while her Inuzuka instincts fought with her to get up in order to mate with Naruto. Hana would need to talk to her mother soon about and how to deal with this. Training ground number 12. Sometime later, Naruto walked to the training ground, as he had long since sensed two distinct pair of eyes looking at him since the altercation that happened with Kin, and had tested to see if they would follow him when he went to the Inuzuka clan home. Now here Naruto was, waiting for the two individuals to appear before him and explain themselves for the need to follow. You can come out now. Failure to comply will result in me leveling this area and you in it, said Naruto, as he waited a few more seconds, and when he started to call more mana from his body did the two appear from the forest area. Uzumaki Naruto, it is with great honor by the authorization of our leader Pain of our organization known throughout the elemental countries as the Akatsuki that we wish to invite you to become a part of our ranks, and join us in our ultimate mission, said Itachi, as he had hoped such a speech would impress the blonde, and let them talk further away from the Leaf Village. I know of your organization Uchiha Itachi and I want no part of it, said Naruto, as he brought out his sword, and saw Itachi's eyes narrow while his taller counterpart just grinned before bringing out his own sword. Look Gaki, you either come with us willingly, or you can do this the hard way with us bringing you back to Pain-sama with your body being less than whole, said Kisame, as he was feeling excited right now, and got ready for a fight. I've seen you in the bingo book. You are a former swordsman of the mist like Momochi Zabuza was before the failed coup. I would say it is a great honor to fight you, but after your threat, I will not say that, and look forward to taking your head from your body, said Naruto, as he saw Kisame grin sadistically while seeing Itachi take a few steps back, and could see the reluctance to fight in the Uchiha's eyes. Let's see just how strong you are, said Kisame, as he charged forward with his sword, and Naruto braced himself for the attack. You are very strong. Just like Zabuza, said Naruto, as he found himself actually having to work harder to push this foe back, and found that Kisame was much stronger than Zabuza was. No. I'm stronger, said Kisame, as he attacked relentlessly with his prized blade, and was finding this kid wasn't half bad. Kisame, do not play with Naruto. Just disable the boy so we can take him back to base before we are discovered, said Itachi, as he saw Kisame look back at him, and nod at the Uchiha's command before swinging Seimata that Naruto blocked with his Muramasa. Why do you wish me to join your organization? I see no reason to leave the leaf, said Naruto, as continued to battle Kisame in a duel of swords, and used agility to counter the height advantage his opponent possessed. The leaf is filled with corrupt officials. All shinobi villages are. Each one fight another in the quest for power while we, the Akatsuki, fight to end all the fighting by removing the shinobi village from existence, and leaving our organization as the only one to take on missions for the elemental countries, said Itachi, as he saw the boy fighting while having his Sharingan activated now, and saw the power the boy had swirling around him was incredible to see. There is more to it than that, Uchiha Itachi. One does not start an organization like yours and expect it to do what is already being done on a grand scale unless you have a means to make it happen with something even bigger to support it, said Naruto, as he knew that was the case with Soldier being supported by Shinra, and knew that whatever this Akatsuki had planned involved more than just being a global shinobi force. This boy is very perceptive. Not only that, but he's holding his own against Kisame, and that is something very few can do with the skills my partner has at his disposal, thought Itachi, as he saw the two break away from each other, and Kisame began going through hand signs. Water style, shark bomb jutsu, said Kisame, as he created a large ball of water that formed like a shark's head, and launched at Naruto at high velocity speed. Furaga, said Naruto, as he countered with a large ball of intense fire at Kisame's water jutsu, which was overpowered, and Shark Man of Akatsuki had to jump out of the way to miss being hit with the remaining fire from the blonde spell. What the hell kind of fire jutsu was that, Itachi? Said Kisame, as he knew that only the Uchiha clan specialized in fire jutsus, and this practically stupefied him since that was no fire jutsu he had ever seen. I don't know. As I told you, Kisame, do not play with him, and just take him down, said Itachi, as he saw Kisame growl in frustration, and prepared another water jutsu. Blizzard, said Naruto, as he launched his ice spell at Kisame, who leapt out of the way, but got his right leg frozen in solid ice, and had to use his sword for support. Itachi. I think we need to run or else we'll be in trouble, said Kisame, as he saw Itachi nodding before focusing his sights on Naruto, and the blonde now looked at him now in a battle-ready stance. Tsukiyomi, said Itachi, as he brought Naruto with him to this dark illusionary world that brought people to the brink of mental collapse, and possibly want to kill themselves without the required psychological treatment shortly after. Naruto found this to be interesting, as he had heard of this from what he had read in the Hokage's library about this, but never the description behind it, and felt it was a sight to behold. However, such thoughts were thrown aside when he looked at Itachi, and saw the man was looking at him calmly. You are in a realm I control. For the next 72 hours, you will be tortured by me, and learn what it means to pay for defying the Akatsuki, said Itachi, as he was about to have the boy bound to a cross, but found that it was he, not Naruto, who was unable to move, and heard a deep growl behind him. Turning his head slightly, Itachi saw the very tailed beast that was thought to be lost to the organization after its attack on Konoha 13 years ago. It was Kyuubi. It is you, who is not welcome here, Uchiha Itachi. For the next 72 hours, it will be my honor of having you be the one tortured at the hands of my vessel, and it will be you who will understand what it means to cross my vessel, the Black Angel of Death, said Kyuubi, as he along with Naruto had combined their mental powers together to override the powers of Itachi's Tsukuyomi, and were now calling the shots in this dimension for the next 72 hours. While this happened in that dark realm, Kisame was looking at Itachi, who was shaking violently, and crying out in pain with injuries hitting him one after the other. The former mist swordsman watched in horror, as he saw Itachi go flying from an attack that was unseen by normal eyes, and turned to look at Naruto, now focusing his eyes on him. Oh, shit, thought Kisame, as he went to get Itachi, and saw they were now surrounded by Konoha Anbu. Kisame, we need to, get away. This boy is not what we thought he was, said Itachi, as he was barely able to stand up, and looked at Naruto with fear in his eyes. No shit, Itachi, said Kisame, as he helped his partner up further, and saw the group of Leaf Anbu getting ready to advance, and Naruto watching to see what they would do. You are surrounded. Surrender now, said the Anbu captain, as he along with his team moved to capture the two, but they were stopped when Itachi used what chakra he had left to create a shadow clone, which attacked the group before exploding, and sending them everywhere with the smoke clearing to reveal the two Akatsuki members being long gone. Naruto. Are you alright? Said Jiraiya, as he arrived to see the battle that had been waged, and was surprised that the blonde was still standing. Yes, but there is now a problem. Uchiha Itachi used his eyes on me and he saw a certain part of me that should not be known, said Naruto, as he saw Jiraiya's eyes widen, and heard the quick intake of breath. This is bad, said Jiraiya, as he saw Naruto nod, and saw the Anbu picking themselves up off the ground. True, but at least they won't be coming after us for a while, and Uchiha Itachi is not an immediate threat until after he heals, said Naruto, as he had informed Jiraiya of being sent to the strange dimension via Itachi's eyes, and turning it against the man with such influence that it affected the Uchiha prodigy's body along with his mind. This kid is something. No one has ever countered the Tsukuyomi like that, and with such a counter that the caster was hurt in that manner, thought Jiraiya, as he would have to talk to Naruto about this later, and how he pulled it off was quite a miraculous thing in itself. Hokage office sometime later. Geez Naruto, you sure know how to cause headaches, and I've got a mountain-sized one, thanks to you, said Tsunade, as she went over everything that happened when the blonde Gaki fought the two members of Akatsuki, and the urge to drink was getting to her. She barely got seated into this desk and looking into a means to heal Lee of his injuries from the Chunin exam preliminaries, with this now falling into her lap. My apologizes Hokage-sama, but it was either fight them, or join their organization like they were suggesting I do. Would you prefer I did the opposite of the current actions I took in this matter? Said Naruto, as he was sure that the actions he took were appropriate, and felt it would further prove his loyalty to the Leaf. No, Naruto. What you did was the right thing to do, but the results behind it are very damaging when the organization hunting for the tailed demons finds out you are one of them, and begins hunting you for the Kyuubi, said Tsunade, as she was concerned about the boy now, and those staying with him now possibly being in danger. Especially Ni Yugito, since she was another demon vessel from what she was told by the Sandaime. It makes no difference whether the Kyuubi is inside of me or not when it comes to the Akatsuki organization, since I was a threat to them before they even knew of the fox. That was why they wanted me to join them. They didn't want to fight me and tried to get me to help them in their goals, said Naruto, as he saw Tsunade nod at this, and it was always considered a possibility since he had made quite the notorious name for himself. But now they have a new reason to come after you, said Shizune, as she was concerned for the blonde too, but Naruto didn't seem to care that his life was in danger, and the boy just looked at her with a cold calmness that told her this wasn't the first time someone came at him with the intent to end his life. No. It's a different reason, but not really a new one, and if they do come to kill me like you are saying they will, then I say let them come. Let them come to meet their end like so many have done trying to make me meet my own, said Naruto, as he left the room, and decided to go do some training to pass the time. "What do you think we should do?" said Tsunade, as she turned to Jiraiya, who was now looking serious too, and was looking out at the village via the window. "I don't know, Tsunade. You and I both know that if Naruto was raised here, his potential would have never reached the level it's at now. I could make some kind of seal to have on Naruto to suppress everything he is now and start him off fresh. It would be like what he was before never happened, but it would take such a long time to retrain him, and bring him up to an appropriate level shinobi of the village. But I think that will cause more harm than good considering how Akatsuki now knows about him and will most likely come at him with everything they have to get the QB. I know you don't want the boy to be what he is now, Tsunade, but considering Naruto's enemies right now, it would be stupid of us to seal all of that away, and train him before those enemies come looking for him. I say let him do what he wants," said Jiraiya, as he saw Tsunade nod her head, and sighed at the choice in front of her. "Alright. Besides, I have a feeling that Naruto's humanity while buried deep inside of the Gaki's mind, can be dug up by the various females that surround his life, and help him experience emotions that he was denied as a child," said Tsunade, as she saw Jiraiya nod, and knew that whatever conditioning Naruto had been put into made Danzo's whole root conditioning process look like some magician's pathetic excuse at hypnotizing with a gold pocket watch. "Did you talk to the two councils and the clan heads about Naruto's apparent bloodline limit? You know, the one where he can fly with that one wing of his?" said Jiraiya, as he saw Tsunade nod her head, and frowned at how that went. The Shinobi Council was ecstatic about it since they felt a whole army of them could alter the way we could invade other villages. The Civilian Council, of course, being the brainless idiots they are, nod their heads with whatever they say, and Danzo keeps asking for Naruto give up some genetic material to see if can be put into Shinobi in order to duplicate the bloodline, said Tsunade, as she had been very close to smashing Danzo's face through, and the Civilian Council along with him. At least the clan heads looked happy. "Well, the ones with daughters anyway," said Jiraiya, as he saw Tsunade smile at that when she remembered the look on Tsume's face, and the sigh of relief on Inoiki's since his daughter had apparently talked about Naruto being so powerful while going out to train. Hiashi is still on the fence due to Hyuga clan traditions. The Hyuga elders won't exactly let anyone regardless of their power to marry someone from the clan because of their paranoia regarding their clan's eyes, said Tsunade, as she saw Jiraiya snort at that, and look out the window with anger aimed at the Hyuga compound. "Please. They only care about having the branch family serving them hand and foot. If they really cared about their precious bloodline, the cage bird seal would be altered so everyone in the clan can have it, and not just the Hyuga branch family," said Jiraiya, as he knew the history with that clan, and it sickened him to no end. In any case, if Hinata does show affection for the boy, I doubt Hiashi would disapprove since the clan would only gain higher status in the leaf if they got together, and decided to get married, said Tsunade, as she knew that when word got out of the boy having a bloodline, and fell under the CRA, the drove of women coming after him would enormous beyond anything they had ever seen. It could be tricky for any girl even if they got around Naruto's emotional barrier since Haku and that other girl ni Yugito will make it near to impossible for anyone to get near Naruto, said Jiraiya, as he let out a perverted giggle, and got punched in the face for it that sent him out of her window into the village below. "Baka. That's coming out of your pay," said Tsunade, as she saw the damage Jiraiya's body had done to her window, and ignored the fact that she had sent the body through the window in the first place. Thanks for listening.